Hey, what's up guys? Your average war gamer is back with another video of World of Warships, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at all the coal ships that we currently have in the game, and I will be making a tier list starting from S tier broken, because there is, I would say, one or two broken ships that you should definitely take a look at, all the way to D tier, which I will say don't buy whatsoever, because that's not gonna be good for your spending coal. And we have gotten quite some new changes. We have also some new additions, very small number of additions of coal ships. Like for example, we have now the tier 10 defense, which is the most expensive coal ship in the game. So you might be thinking, where does it belong to in this tier list? And then we have some changes to destroyers like the I would say Alvaro D Bazan, Tromp, and even Hayate has gotten buffed over the recent years. So I have made the coal ship tier list back in 2024, and now I will be trying to explain you how these ships are still doing in, I would say, well in this meta, and you will eventually understand. I will be covering tier 5 to tier 10 ships, and I will now start talking about it. I would say gonna give you some brief idea, not gonna go into details like I have done in the steel ship tier list, because there are so many coal ships to talk about. But I will make sure that I will give you a good idea and analysis of whether they are really good enough and why they are placed higher or lower. What are the weaknesses that makes them lower or higher? That's what I will cover. And if you ask me who I am as a player, older viewers know that I am pretty experienced player in World of Warships. But if you are new to the channel, here are the stats, okay? This is not bragging. I don't need to do this. I've been playing this game for over 8 years, and I have gotten everything in the game. Now it's my turn to help you guys in this journey of making your experience better. And as you can see, I've been doing great as a win rate, as also the PR, and then even if you take a look at this is ranked battles, by the way. If you take a look at the randoms, it's kinda the same story, which you can see right there, okay? No brag whatsoever. It's just the proof that I know good amount of knowledge, because I've been playing this game for over 8 years. And that's it. This will help you to decide whether my tier list is worth it to even look for or not. So let's talk about it. And by the way, if you are new to the channel and have not subscribed, be sure to hit a like. And if you find this video useful, definitely comment what do you think about this tier list. And now let's start talking about even aircraft carriers. I will cover every class, so don't worry if you might think that I miss out on any ship. I will not. I will cover all the tier 5 to tier 10 ships. So we have the first one, which is going to be aircraft carrier, and that is Max Immelmann, the German tier 10. Now I will rate this to be B plus tier. Actually a very good ship. Not excellent, not broken, but it's a very good ship. It's a B plus tier in my opinion. Now the reason is pretty simple. The Max Immelmann is a very powerful damage farmer. It feasts on battleships. It will burn down battleships. It has great damage with the HE skip bombs. Skip bombs are very fast, like super fast. They have 242 knots of speed. They hit hard. They have a very high fire chance. You set a lot of fires onto the battleships. You are a bane of battleships. If you want to farm BBs, you can just quickly go to the go across the map, farm the battleship, make him DCP the fire, and then you can come up with the torpedo bombers and get perma floods. And you can do this again and again and again, and you are doing this very fast, okay? And that's why you can do amazing against battleships and especially heavy cruisers. The more, I would say, tanky and the more less maneuverable that target is, the better your skip bombers or the, I would say, torpedo bombers will be effective onto that, okay? Now lightly maneuverable ships like the Minotaur, the Colbert, Smolensk, well, they can maneuver very well. DDs, they can take a lot of damage, okay? The HE skip bombers are amazing in that, but you need a crossfire, okay? Let me just go to the port and give you some idea about the main characteristics of the ship. So you can see I am in the port, Max Immelmann right there. You can see that the skip bombers have insane speed, 242 knots of speed, 11k damage, 68mm penetration, 65% fire chance. So that's why you can be really devastating against battleships. Torpedo bombers, they are pretty average, but you have a lot of torpedo bombers, okay? The best part about the Maximilian that you have a lot of plane reserves. You have a lot of aircraft on deck, and that means that even if you take some losses, you still be having enough planes, okay? And especially if you have the Gundelleutens, which I would say a highly recommended captain on Maximilian, you can get extra buff on the aircraft preparation time once you able to land 30 times with any aircraft armament. So if you land 15 skip bombs and 15 torpedo bombers, this will kick in and it will give you better preparation time, which again, in the case of skip bombers, it's already very impressive. 57.8 seconds and 61.4 seconds. So almost a minute, and you will be getting torpedo bomber 1, torpedo bomber 2 every minute. So yeah, you're good against battleships. That's why I really like this ship. Light cruisers and destroyers, they will be a problem. Destroyer, you have to make sure that you make a crossfire. If you have a division mate, he's playing a destroyer, he gets into the cap, and then you spot that enemy DD that you want to target. What he basically do, your division mate, he started to shoot and he turned out and kite away. The moment he turned out and kite away, well, he is in a crossfire. Now you can use these skip bombers and they can do devastating damage, okay? These are the crossfires, that's where you can counter DDs, but otherwise you have really no good armament to take down DDs. So it can be a strength under special scenarios, and it can be a weakness, and that's why I cannot rate it to be like very, very good. In fact, excellent in this case, or not even overpowered. But yeah, certainly it is very strong aircraft carrier. Now, in terms of the armaments of the secondaries, well, they are actually a bit accurate than many tier 10 aircraft carriers. You can spec this CV into accurate secondaries, and they can actually do really well if the DDs are trying to push into you, and you have a lot of good armor. You have 50mm HE protection that is not strong enough, but it is still okay, and you will be, I would say, immune to get overmatched from battleship. That's what really matters. And you have this side plating that is very, very tanky. So overall, you are pretty tanky, especially if the DDs and maybe the battleships trying to shoot you angled. You can tank somewhat, but you do have some plating that still be very vulnerable, and your secondaries, they can sometimes do really well against DDs, so you definitely can use them. As you can see, we have the manual mode, 12 kilometers, so yeah, it can have a lot of range. And to make this carrier work really well, you have to master skip bombs. If you can master HE skip bombs, they are very brutal, okay? And then you can do really well, and you will eventually realize why it is going to be a B+ tier. But definitely not to the higher levels. Definitely very, very good ship. Okay, so the next ship is also going to be an aircraft carrier, and that is going to be the British tier 10 Malta. Now, Malta, I will definitely gonna rate above Maximilian. It is an A tier. It's an excellent aircraft carrier, especially if you are a, I would say, learner. If you want to learn tier 10 carriers, Malta can be sometimes forgiving. But if you master it really well, it can be very rewarding. Okay, now the point of the Malta, and the reason why I rate it higher, is that you can counter these rockets. They are easy to aim. You have small, I would say, time delay of the rockets. If you shoot the rockets, there is a time delay. For the Malta, it has like 3 seconds. So you can aim DDs and you can do pretty decent damage. That's why it is a good counter to DDs. It is a good counter to the light cruisers. Unlike Maximilian, it cannot counter, I would say, light cruisers at all whatsoever. Malta becomes an exception, because if you land those AP carpet bombs onto the light cruisers, you can actually do citadels, and you can do like 15 to 20 to 25k damage on a single drop, and you have very tanky planes. Unlike the Maximilian that are fast, but they are, I would say, squishy planes, Malta is very tanky. On the plane side, it has a lot of plane reserves, and it can counter DDs and light cruisers well, and even battleships, thanks to very high damage in the torpedo bomber. The torpedo bombers, I would say, is the bread and butter of the Malta. If you can master AP bombs on light cruisers, if you can master torpedo bombers onto the battleship, if you know what you're doing, Malta can reward you so much damage onto the battleship. And your positioning is very important, because your planes are slow, they're not as fast as Maximilian. So if you position yourself, do sort of the risk of using islands, push around the corner and closer distance against enemy battleships, right? Which can be very risky, which I will explain why it could be the most riskiest thing that you can do on Malta compared to the Maximilian. But if you can do this, it will increase the reward significantly. So as you can see, Malta is very good countering DDs with rockets, countering light cruisers and cruisers with AP, carpet bombs. You can citadel, just like I said, and battleships can take huge damage thanks to you having 6.5k torpedo alpha. They are not the fastest torpedoes in terms of aerial torpedo speed. They are only 35 knots, but their arming distance is great. They have this diverging pattern, which means that they can be less effective against cruisers, heavy cruisers I'm talking about, that are very maneuverable because they diverge. Their pattern is diverged. They basically spread out. So battleships will still eat 4-4 torpedoes because they are very long in terms of their hull length. But the cruisers, they sometimes can be pretty tricky, but you still get 3 torpedo hits and that will still be pretty devastating. You have 6.5k torpedo damage. Remember, that's pretty good. And the best part of the Malta that I really like, just like Maximilian, you have a lot of plane reserves. Look at the plane reserves. You have rockets, 20 aircraft on deck. Great. You have 20 aircraft on deck for torpedo bombers, and the bombers get even further 25 aircraft on deck. And look at the preparation time. Under 1 minute, 46 seconds, 57 seconds, and 57 seconds once again. So yeah, a lot of plane reserves, unlike Audacious, its Tech 3 counterpart, and a lot of damage with torpedo bombers compared to the Audacious. So it's just a better Audacious no matter what. Very powerful ship because of this, okay? The ability to do so many counters against so many ship classes makes Malta better than Maximilian. But here's the thing that you must know about the Malta. Malta has terrible armor on broadside. It is like that they have strapped a Minotaur onto the aircraft carrier. It is extremely vulnerable. If you broadside turn out single time, you don't have the smokes, okay, which is again a huge disadvantage. But again, if we compare it with Maximilian, you still is kind of the same, okay? If the Maximilian gets those smoke consumables like the A6 get in Tech 3, that's an entirely different thing. Then maybe the Maximilian gets better, but as you can see, this armor can take huge damage. You are going to get dev struck, okay, if you broadside. You are a big hull, and that's where there's also a problem that if the enemy aircraft carrier wants to snipe you, especially the Shinano, especially the Manfred von Richthofen, they can just basically delete your HP 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. They just do a lot of damage. So you have to mitigate those problems by maybe just putting the fighter onto your broadside and just pray that he just a bit of a new player. So this is where Malta will have the weakness. And if the CV really trying to snipe you, under those scenarios, you might even think like it's not an excellent ship. Firepower, performance of the planes, tanky planes, they just do excellent, okay? But the ship hull is just so bad that I might put it to be the C tier. It becomes so garbage in terms of the armor profile. It's taking huge damage from the enemy aircraft carriers in terms of sniping, anyone shooting your broadside in terms of you broadsiding mistakenly, okay? That's where you have to really analyze the situation, but it will perform well if you position yourself well. Experience will make it strong, just like in the case of Maximilian. So if you have the experience, Malta will actually be doing slightly more game impact compared to the Maximilian, because it is pure damage farmer, but this is I would say more of a playmaker compared to the Maximilian. So that's why it is an A tier excellent aircraft carrier. Counter to everything is something that only aircraft carriers get, unfortunately, in this game, and Malta does it very well. Alright, so the next ship is going to be the Grosser Kurfurst, the German tier 10 battleship. And you know what? We're gonna be rating it to be broken. No, sorry. No, I just did a mistake. It's a broke, okay? If you are a broke, then you might buy Kurfurst. Sadly, I'm just joking, okay? The thing about the Kurfurst, that it is not up to the meta at all whatsoever because of its huge survivability issues, okay? The ship is big, but the superstructure is bigger. The ship has broadside. You don't get citadel, but your armor plating is so thick on broadside that everyone can full pen you. And then, even though you have secondaries, well, your survivability does not help you in making your secondaries work, because you just get farmed faster than your secondaries can kill someone harder. And that's why Kurfurst can be a huge pain, especially if you are a newer player. Experienced player can sometimes make this work, but they will still gonna hit their head on the wall, that because why they have bought it in the first place. Honestly, if I can show you in the game, this is Kurfurst, okay? And if you look at the superstructure, you're gonna be farmed by every single thing. If you are angled, for example, if you're angled, well, then you're missing out your back turrets if you are bowing in. You cannot use your back turrets while fully angled. You have terrible firing angles, even if you are kiting, even if you are bowing in, so you will have a problem. And then you have superstructure so big, again, you're gonna get farmed. Your broadside gonna get farmed. Look at the armor thickness. It is a problem. Battleships will do a lot of damage. Heavy cruisers can do a lot of damage. They set tons of fires. And well, the only reason that I put the Kurfürst onto the C tier and not onto the D tier is, I would say, a couple of things. That I have the Gunther Lutens on it, which definitely helps its secondaries once they get to the threshold of 100. So if you have 100 secondary shells, you will get the buff, okay? You will definitely going to get a slight buff. As you can see, 15% secondary battery reload time. So this kind of makes it please no D tier to the C tier. And then there's also another thing which also slightly helps, and that is the legendary mod of Kurfürst. You get the main battery load time, which is almost similar compared to the main battery mod 3. It's just 2% difference, but you get a lot of secondary battery reload time. This is a minus 15%, and the range gets very small nerf. So it's from 20 kilometer each to 19 kilometer, but you do have the spotter plane, so it does not kind of matter. And that is the reason why Kurfürst becomes average. So it will do better with secondaries, but your survivability is terrible. You have heals, but your armor and the lack of good cooldown time, like in the case of Ohio, the American ships, they have 40 seconds of cooldown time, okay? Some of those brawlers have that. A Libertad line does have 60 seconds of cooldown time. Newer battleships have F key to boost their survivability. Kurfürst have none of that, and they never thought of buffing Kurfürst for some reason. I don't understand why. The guns are also not going to overmatch cruisers. These are only 406mm guns. You have 1.8 Sigma. They can work. You can do citadels, but they are not effective in terms of their dispersion quality. The quality of dispersion is just average. 1.8 Sigma, you can do okay. And you're forced to use secondaries because you are a secondary battleship in the first place. So you cannot use MX System Mod 1 to improve your accuracy. Okay? You will be farmed. You will be dumped. Literally dumped hard by carriers. Okay? You will be dumped hard from submarines if you push, right? There are so many pain points of the Kurfürst. Yes, it's the same case for most battleships if they are fighting carriers and subs, but Kurfürst just takes this damage from the carriers and subs to the next level. Okay, the entire defense is just not good. Concealment is, well, you have to sacrifice to basically build it for secondaries. Okay, you have to sacrifice concealment for many reasons, so you will be spotted from the moon, right? I use the Gunther Lutens for fully survivable. In terms of you getting more heals and building up for secondaries, but you are sacrificing fire prevention. At least in my case, it's fire prevention, because I don't push usually at the start of, I would say, 10 minutes. I will push at the late games where I know that I will be fighting 1 versus 1 with a battleship. Then the lack of fire prevention will be okay. Otherwise, you need fire prevention. You must need fire prevention. It is terrible not to pick fire prevention on a Kurfürst, but I'm doing that gamble. I'm doing that risk for some other benefits. So Kurfürst in this current meta is a lot of struggle. Not worth it. C tier average because of 2 reasons that I've explained. Otherwise, it go to the D tier. It's not. You're wasting your coal if you are not looking on other ships other than Kurfürst. Okay, now we have the Japanese heavy cruiser, and that is Yoshino tier 10 coal ship. And well, it's a great HE spammer. It does really well in kiting, not gonna lie, it really does well, but its armor profile is very questionable. It is very squishy. It has 30mm all over the place. You have a lot of HP. and you have 20-kilometer hilarious tops, and even then, I might rate Zhao, I would say, with the leg amount more than Yoshino. That's my opinion, okay? But Yoshino is still a B tier. It's a good ship. It's not very good because, first, well, you don't have a radar. You cannot counter DDs, okay? And second, your armor is also not so good. It's struggling. If you're pushing and there's a battleship that can overmatch you, well, it's the case for most cruisers, but still, I mean, pushing for Yoshino is a death sentence. You want to be kiting and farming with HE shells. It's speciality, HE shells in the first place. And that's what it is only good at. Just long range, kiting, very long range kiting. That's it. Okay? Pushing, unlike in the case of Salem, right? Salem can still push well. This is the Salem and this is the Moskva. They can sometimes push. They have a radar to counter DDs. So they know that they can stay unspotted behind the islands. Whereas Yoshino will be spotted from a DD and he does not do anything. Okay? And it is also a bit more vulnerable to aircraft carriers because it's a long hull. Okay? That's the case with the Moskva. But Yoshino has still some problem because, well, it has 30mm deck. Okay? And it's slow, squishy, air strikes from the Gudanlius Uteriks, they can absolutely hurt you. Moskva can be at least tanky because it has 50mm deck inside. Yoshino does not have that. Salem does have super heal and a radar. Yoshino does not have it. It's just very good range, long HE spammer. That's it. So as you can see, it's a long ship. It is definitely tanky in terms of having a lot of HP that it can soak. It can tank some good overmatch, and it does have quite some HP, and you have actually the good part of the Yoshino that it does have 5 heals. It does not have 4 heals that you find on Moskva and the Salem, okay? Salem has a super heal, that's an exception, but you have extra HP because you are squishy, okay? But unlike Azuma, unlike tier 9 coal ship Azuma, which I will explain later on, it does not have that 40 seconds of cooldown time. It has a standard 80 seconds of cooldown time, which is again a bit of a disadvantage. You need that cooldown time. If you want to push, then that 40 seconds of cooldown time will be super valuable. And well, if we talk about the HE spam, it is very strong, okay? HE does 5.6k with the super heavy, with the super heavy and HE shells. I'm building this way because I am just gonna play at long range. Kiting, farming, and using the spotter plane. You can have the range more than 24 kilometers. I think it's gonna go to around 24-25 kilometers, something like that, with the spotter plane. You have a good firing range. You have a good HE DPM for super heavy cruiser. And but by the way, its AP is great. Okay, AP has decent penetration. You can actually citadel cruisers that tend to broadside. You have a battle cruiser dispersion. You can work, okay, but I still overall don't think that it is worth it. It's just damage farmer, pure damage farmer. The maneuverability is another issue. If we take a look at the maneuverability, 920 meters turning circle, very high rudder shift time for a cruiser, and then the speed is great, but these two things are a big problem. And then that's it. I mean, it does not come up with anything. Yes, the torpedoes are something that is very hilarious, 20 km tops, but they have a very high reaction time. So mostly you will be hitting battleships that are pushing you, okay, onto their bows or something like that. They can work, but I mean, they just sort of a meme, honestly. I mean, you want a bit more, I would say, in terms of having better reaction time. If these torpedoes will have 8 seconds of reaction time, 9 seconds of reaction time, they will be a lot stronger. They will be a lot more valuable. But, you know, it is what it is. So, because of this, it does not come up with anything to just counter DDs. It does not come up with anything to basically counter its survivability issues. This is the problem. You're gonna get smashed on broadside. Your citadel is very vulnerable. So ask yourself, would you want to get this level of citadel on your cruiser? That's the case with the Moskva, but Moskva can bow in without getting overmatched, okay? Salem can super heal and can disengage. There are some advantages to the Salem. Without a doubt, Yoshino will be more sluggish in that regard. And that's why in 2026, it's a B tier. It's a good ship. You can do 10k, really powerful volleys while setting fires. But still, I just don't feel like it's that good. It's not very good. It's not an excellent ship. I just don't rate it that much, okay? So it's a good ship, and that's it. At least better than Kurfurst, 100%. It's going to be better than Kurfurst for absolutely sure. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the Tier 10 American heavy cruiser, Salem. And I will put Salem to be B plus tier. It's a very good ship. Not gonna rate it excellent, because it's not Des Moines. If they will give Des Moines a super heal, which is not in the case of Salem. Salem sacrifices its radar. It has only 8.5 kilometer of radar and has 10.9 kilometer of detection. So the DDs does have great opportunity to spot you permanently, and you will be getting overmatched from, I would say, tons of battleships. There are so many battleships that can overmatch your 30mm deck inside, and that's why I cannot put it to be at the A tier. Excellent. If that's the case, if it does have a Des Moines radar, that will be an entirely different thing. Now the good thing about the Salem that it comes up with a super heal, and that gives it a big advantage. And what I really like in the Salem, that unlike Des Moines that have to really precisely use Islands Hug, okay, it has to use the Islands Hugging because it cannot waste his HB at all to tank a battleship that can overmatch him. Okay, whereas Salem is, with the super heal, can afford to tank some battleship AP shells when kiting open water. It can be useful in open water. Des Moines cannot be useful in open water because your HP is very limited. Salem does tank more shells because of this super heal, and that's why it is flexible. However, where the Salem is not flexible is the ability to radar DDs. Even though it's a very strong radar with high duration, it's only 8.5 kilometer and 10.9 kilometer of concealment with a decent speed, with a decent defensive anti-defense. With defensive fire, you can somewhat do some damage to aircraft carriers, but mostly the super heal is gonna help you a lot. So if you want to get a Des Moines with a super heal, and remember, it's not gonna heal more than 50% of the penetration damage, and certainly not gonna heal more than 33% of citadel damage. So if you take citadels, your super heal value will go reduced, so you don't broadside, okay? You are going to be very vulnerable, but you are a very good ship because these are having 5.5 seconds. Really, the thing that I like about the Des Moines, you're getting everything in Salem. It's a Des Moines class cruiser. What do you expect? Really good HEDPM, improved pen angles. You 1 versus 1 will do way more better compared to Des Moines against enemy cruiser because of your super heal. You don't take care, I would say you don't care about the fires and floods. If anyone set a fire, if anyone set a flood, you just super heal all the way back, and super heals can be great in this. So cruiser versus cruiser, excellent. Battleships, well, it will struggle. It's kind of like the Des Moines against battleships. Don't get me wrong here, okay? Similar performance against battleships, but you can open water battleships, okay? And you can build it for range, which I do, and sometimes I open water. And unlike Des Moines, I cannot do that on that ship. I can do that, just like I said. And you will struggle more in taking down DDs, but you can play aggressive since you have a super heal and still can counter DDs. And because of these reasons, I really like the Salem. Salem can be very, very good ship, okay? In many situations, if there are battleships in the randoms that cannot overmatch you, the value of Salem gets significantly, okay? But you're getting more overmatched. 2026 is the meta where you have some FK, some burst fire. Salem has none of that. Super heal is the only thing making it very, very good ship, okay? But not excellent. If it does get that radar that I like about the Des Moines, great 10 km radar in Salem will be a dream. But then that ship becomes very strong, and there is no reason to play Des Moines over Salem if Salem gets that same thing. So that's why, to make it distinct, Wargaming does that, okay? And that's why it's very good. B plus tier, pretty good ship. You will get that great Des Moines alternate feeling in this ship. Okay, so the next cruiser, it's going to be the tier 10 Moskva, which I really like even in 2026. And the best part about the Moskva, that it is still very, very tanky, and I don't think so there's gonna be any battleship in future that's gonna overmatch its deck and side, because it has 50mm deck and side, which again, the most powerful thing that I love about a cruiser. So Moskva is a B plus tier. Okay, now you might be thinking, well, why not A tier excellent, or why not it's gonna be lower tier, B tier good, because its broadside is very bad. I will explain. Now the thing about the Moskva that I find sometimes struggling, that at the start of the game you will try to find a position and you want to hug the island. If you can find a great position, hug the island brilliantly, and that requires quite some experience because some players basically stay with the island, hug the island, but they are still open water. They need to use the island as a cover, not as a, I would say, their hugger or a friend that does nothing. Big mistake that I've seen players do in the Salem, Des Moines / Moskva, Petrostalin. All of these players do. Even I do. I used to do that. But if you position yourself well, it might even get to the A tier. If you position yourself not good, okay, if you don't know how to use the islands, you will feel as if the Moskva is a C tier. Because if you broadside in this ship, it's gonna get nuked. It's like the Minotaur of Russian ship. It's like a Minotaur of a Russian ship. That's how bad the experience can get. Positioning decides everything in Moskva. It's the case with the Salem. It's the case with the Des Moines. But once you position even on to the island that is not the best, you can tank significantly better because your armor is so good. You take 30 seconds of fire duration damage, which again is a huge thing. So you can tank those fires really, really well. 30 seconds of fire duration for this heavy cruiser is still huge. 80 DPM is great, and thanks to having the leg mod, which I will say gonna make it simply from B plus tier to the A tier, because improvement in accuracy, your accuracy is better. You already have a cruiser dispersion and you get even better accuracy, and I'm telling you, it's gonna do so well. You have amazing shell velocity. That's another thing. At long ranges you can farm, at medium ranges you can farm, at close ranges you can farm. And that's where I think with the leg mod it becomes an A tier. But if you don't have the leg mod, then and if you try to understand the cruiser gameplay, okay, if you are a beginner or an intermediate player, then it's a B tier. That's why I'm putting it here. Okay, otherwise it can go easily here, unlike Salem, for sure. And especially the Nikolai Kuznetsov. If you have the Nikolai Kuznetsov, again, these two things making this ship excellent, okay? But it's the key of positioning. And you have a radar, unlike, I would say, the Yoshino, that does not have a radar. Moskva has a radar that has 40 seconds of action time. 40 freaking seconds of action time. That's a lot. With a 12 km radar, you can catch anything off guard. Okay, you can catch even light cruisers off guard, okay, which is very good. You have a hydro, unlike Salem, because Salem has to use defensive wave fire. I mean, that's the problem. Or you can use the hydro or the radar. I mean, this is a very bad sort of dilemma. In the Moskva, the options are a lot better. Either you pick hydro or defensive wave fire. You don't swap radar for hydro, which is great. And if you're using islands, well, the Gudelius, the Utrichts, those bombers, well, they will not going to penetrate your deck inside. They can farm your superstructure, but you're not going to get nuked, which is again a big reason where the Salem will struggle, even with the super heal. It's just going to burn you hard. You make your heals use to the hardest point, whereas Moskva still can tank with its hull, okay? And your concealment is worse, and if you turn out in Kaidabe is bad, but Moskva is still very good if you know what you're doing. The guns perform well, the AP shell velocity, AP DPM, it will do really well. And that's why, in my opinion, Moskva is a B plus tier. Very good, but if you have the Nikolai Kuznetsov and the leg mod, I will put it to be this A tier. It becomes excellent. Okay, so the next ship is going to be a very weird thing, because defense is very powerful, it has very reasonable utilities, and it can do brilliant, okay? But the problem is, it's the most expensive coal ship in the game. And that really makes anyone question, should I spend 415,000 coal on a freaking ship, whereas I can get 2 tier 9 ships? Which is really a big dilemma. And because of this exact reason, I can't put defense to be the A tier at all, okay? Very expensive, and it makes it not so good. And the other things, if you look at the ship itself, ship characteristics itself, well, it does not come up with a radar, but it has amazing guns. You have cruiser dispersion, you have improved pen angles, okay, kind of like the Des Moines. So your AP will hurt, smash cruisers, even battleships. You have only 6 guns, but they smash. You have a smoke and you also have, which you can see, 40 millimeter deck, which means that if you are bowing in and somehow the battleship shoot at this area rather than onto the superstructure, which again is huge, like it's crazy huge for a cruiser, but it is what it is. But if some shells hit here, you can actually bounce and not gonna get overmatched, okay? But the weaknesses are also very prominent. You have a huge superstructure, just like I said. You have 30 millimeter plating, and even though you have the smokes to disengage, which again is it's absolutely insane to have a heavy cruiser having a short burst smokes. Your ability to quickly disengage at any point of time is very powerful, okay? Almost 70,000 HP, very, very good. Very strong heals. It has a faster cooldown time of 57 seconds, which is really good. 60 seconds base, 57 seconds with the modifications. Really good heals. And they also heal slightly more than normal heals, okay? Guns are hard hitting. HE shells have really good fire chance, 41%. You're literally having battleship guns at tier 10, okay? But they don't penetrate like, I would say, the Russian technology, like the Petro Moskva. They are not like that. Not the Moskva, but the Petro Stalin, I will say. I will compare it more with the Petro and Stalin, but still very relevant. And they will smash cruisers. And you also have really good torpedoes. Okay, they really hit hard. 21,000. This is Shimakaze level of torpedo damage, and you have a lot of tops. You have like I think 4 torpedoes on each side. You can basically torp. You have amazing torpedo angles. If you go and take a look at the torpedo angles, take a look at the defense videos, you will find out that you have good torpedo angles bowing in. Okay, and yeah, this defensive power. Okay, this is where it's just better than Yoshino. This deck armor, that's better than Yoshino. Yes, you have this vulnerable, I would say, front area. This is going to be fully overmatched. And your Citadel is bad. Okay, the Citadel is as bad as Yoshino. It's basically the same thing as Yoshino, but your survivability gets significantly better. Because you have smoke. This is like a huge thing for me. Like, it's huge. Okay? And these torpedoes are more useful than Yoshino. These guns are more useful against cruisers because of improved fan angles than Yoshino. They are cruiser dispersion. This is cruiser dispersion we are talking. Super accurate. Okay? And you can smoke up and turn out. It's kind of like you have the get out of jail free card. Okay? And you have these, well, depth charge airstrikes. That's the case with the Yoshino as well. But that tells you the survivability buff is there. Okay? But even upon all this, I cannot rate it to be A tier or S tier. And the reason is pretty simple. It does not get 32 millimeter, maybe, or 40 millimeter side and deck, unlike Napoli. Napoli becomes the most tankiest, the most, I would say, powerful in terms of defensive side. Defense does not. I mean, if your smoke runs out, and by the way, you have a terrible smoke firing penalty, this can sometimes work against you, which I haven't even said when showing you that ship in the port. Very bad, I would say, not super bad, but it does have like 11.2 kilometer smoke firing penalty. So smoke can actually work against you if you shoot and there's a DD within 11.2 kilometer. If you shoot in the smoke, it can be very bad, okay? Because you're gonna get surprised in the smoke. So just watch out for these things. And these are the reasons why I cannot put it into the A tier. If it does have very stealthy detection in smoke, if it does have that, again, just like I said, instead of 30 millimeter sides, it might get like 32 millimeter, for example. That's significant. That's significant. And it does not have a radar to counter DDs. And yes, offensive side is great. Defensive side is still onto the weak side, but better than Yoshino. Absolutely. I can really rate it comparable to the Salem. It's kind of like the unique version in terms of defensive side. Instead of you not having super heals, you have other things like smoke. Okay? And somewhat decent torpedoes. So that's what makes it B plus tier, but not A tier in my opinion. And especially that it is extremely expensive. So I will not gonna rate it to the A tier at all. Alright, so the next ship is going to be the Italian heavy cruiser, and that is Napoli. Now I have Napoli, and I think that it is by far the most tankiest cruiser in entire game. I might even rate it better than Moskva, better than Salem, better than many cruisers. It's just so good in defensive capabilities. It's kind of overpowered in terms of defensive capabilities, but it is very average in offensive capabilities, and that's why. And you can make offensive capabilities slightly better, okay? Thanks to you that you do have sap secondaries and you do have the smoke, okay? And you can just play a bit aggressive to just improve your performance in terms of doing damage. If you close the target, you start to get citadels, you can do damage, you can find out the positions. If you can do that, you can improve your offensive capabilities. And that's why, because of this sheer defensive power that the Napoli has, I'm gonna rate it to be the excellent, even though it does not have radar. Yes, this is a controversial opinion. There might be players who just will not like that fact that the guns are super under, and I agree. It's kind of underwhelming in the guns. Its guns accuracy is actually sort of worse at long ranges. It kind of has the same dispersion pattern as the Petro. So at longer range, your dispersion will not be that great, but at closer ranges, your dispersion will be good. Okay, kind of like the Petro. Soviet dispersion ellipse pattern, but you do have 2.1 sigma, okay? And so at medium to close ranges, your accuracy will just do better, and you have a spotter plane, which is a recent change, okay? So there's the Napoli, and I was talking about this change, okay? Now it is 5% increase in main metric firing range, okay? But you still have 60 seconds to have the extended range, which again is not significant, but it is okay. But the power of the Napoli lies with this armor. This armor is very tanky. 60mm side, 40mm deck, no battleship can overmatch you. I have in Satsuma, it's a super ship, Japanese battleship that I'm talking about, used the F key, and the Napoli was angled. And guess what? I just bounces all 8 shells. He managed to bounce all 8 shells, the enemy Napoli. And I was like really like blown away. Just slightly angled Napoli, just get away from the Satsuma F key. Bro, that is so powerful. If that would be Yoshino, that would be 30-40k salvo easy. This is super powerful, okay? Your superstructure is not that big, okay? It does have this widen up in terms of length, but still it's pretty relevant, okay? You have the icebreaker, so you can tank, at least you won't be getting citadeled. So this is a very strong ship, and its armor is also very, very weird. It does have the spaced armor. Look at the spaced armor. No, not the spaced armor. But this armor profile is such that it actually can sometimes troll you, and you're not getting citadels. Instead, you're getting penetration damage. This sometimes can happen if you're shooting Napoli at broadside. Sometimes, okay? And that's where Napoli can be very, very good, okay? And this armor is no joke. And on top of that, you have smokes, great amount of heals, 4 heals, standard heals, but you have sap secondaries. I mean, if anyone comes close in around 11 kilometers, your sap secondaries are some of the most accurate for its cruiser, okay? Sap secondaries, they will start to support you, okay? They're not going to do significant damage. They're not like the next level Schlieffen that you are dropping a lot of secondaries on, okay? They don't set fires, but they just support you, and especially against DDs that get spotted. They hilariously can do a lot of damage to DDs, okay? So support really goes with the Napoli with the sap secondaries, and this smoke is get out of jail card, just straight up better. And look at the concealment numbers, 10.3 for a heavy cruiser that is like this tanky. Remember, Petro is also tanky, but it has 13.2 kilometer concealment. Napoli has 10.3. So that's what the defensive side is overpowered, because there are no cruisers that are that tanky than Napoli. Not even Petro. At least with that concealment, not even Petro. And no one gets the smoke that is that tanky. And that's why you will do really well. You still have good guns. They are comparable to Zhao, 3.4k alpha, 18% fire chance. They have 42mm penetration, so you still can penetrate the decks of Napoli itself or the Petro. So that is still good, right? And also, if you take a look at the AP, you still can overmatch light cruisers. This is 254mm guns. You can overmatch 16mm plating. So Colbert, Smolensk, all those cruisers, you can just punish them regardless of their angle. So that still helps in offensive capabilities. And that's why I really think with the amount of HP, with the amount of tankiness, all the defensive stuff that it gets, I'm okay with that reload time of 15 seconds. You really should compare it. You really should compare it with Zhao. Zhao does have slightly better reload time with the reload mod, but the HE looks pretty much the same. Yes, it does have only 9 guns. The accuracy might not be like Zhao. Zhao has Destroyer, Dispersion. It does not. You have to get close to make the Dispersion work. Still, it's pretty good. Still, you will love it, and you will have no problems in tanking even battleship shells. And honestly, it's very fun ship. It's a very fun ship. You smoke up, you use sap secondaries, you can turn out and kite away. You have a lot of points where you can decide whether you want to engage a target or not. Napoli is really good. Worth it. 8-year excellent in my opinion. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the Brisbane. Okay, this is a Commonwealth Minotaur hull with a 12 km radar, stealth radar, and having HE shells instead of full AP shells compared to the Minotaur, but having no smokes. And well, I would say it's gonna be B tier. It's gonna be good ship. It's not gonna be as good as Moskva, as good as Salem, and the reason is pretty simple. You have given a Minotaur hull, okay, which is gonna work well if you're using islands as cover. But the moment you are open watering, where sometimes you have to open water, especially if you counter DDs, you get spotted. Okay, you get spotted and you get radared. Oh, sorry, you radar the DD, you're exposed. Okay, you shoot the guns, the DD have the pain of that stealth radar, but the battleships, the enemy battleships can shoot you, and you are a Minotaur hull, which means that you're gonna get nuked. So as you can see, this is Brisbane. You're gonna get nuked if you're broadside. You have to sometimes play open water. This is all Citadel, and this is all overmatchable. There are cruisers that can overmatch you like Napoli. There are cruisers like Stalingrad. Stalingrad just eats Brisbane. Stalingrad eats Minotaur. So there are so many counters to you, and your defensive capabilities are only limited to super heal. That's it. You have a super heal, but that only heals 50% of the penetration damage and Citadel damage, which means that the super heal cannot be fully utilized after you use more than 2 heals. If you use more than 2 heals, the other last 2 heals, they are going to be not the best for you in terms of you able to heal a lot of HP. This is the problem with the Salem, with that super heal, and this is also the problem with the Brisbane. Okay, but you have the HE shells, 293k HE DPM. The HE DPM is not bad. The shell velocity, however, is not good. You have the range, but the shell velocity can be sometimes difficult. It's a difficult ship to play. This is the problem with the Brisbane, that most players will struggle in Brisbane. It's a difficult ship. You have a radar of 12 km with 9.8 km of concealment. You can stealth. The moment you get spotted, you can catch DD, but you will be spotted, and you shoot the guns. And if you're caught bow-in, for example, and a battleship looks at you, well, you're gonna get nuked. You have a hydro, which again is a really good thing, and you have the significant advantage compared to the Minotaur, and that is depth charge airstrike. You can actually use ASW strikes basically by using aerial. Okay, you can just launch up to 8 kilometers, which is a really good thing against submarines. And especially you can catch subs with radar. You can catch subs with the hydro sometimes. So this is super valuable. At least this is better than Minotaur. But even then, and you have very hard hitting tops, a lot of torpedoes, 13.5 kilometer range. You can be stealth torpedo boat, you can call it. Okay, compared to the Minotaur, it's significantly better in terms of torpedoes. Okay, but and your reaction time is also great. 7.1 seconds of reaction time is very, very good. 16k damage, 17k damage almost is really good. But still, problem is the firepower is reasonable, HP is reasonable, everything is reasonable, radar is really good, but your survivability is very not good. It's questionable. You will struggle, and I'm telling you, it can be even C tier average for some players, because your survivability just so much suck. You can just pick Napoli, and you can get away with so many things. You can even get away with Moskva by bowing in. You can get away with defense by smoking up. You can get away with the Salem because you still have relatively tanky armor, but you cannot get away with this open water. It's very difficult. But because of the radar, torpedoes, the gun performance, offensive capabilities, I still will rate it B tier, and that's why I'm going to be making it good for most players. For some players, it's not even good. It might be even lower, but it can't be B+. It cannot be very good ship. No, I just don't think that's it. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the Hayate, the tier 10 Japanese destroyer, which I personally feel that it's better than Shimakaze. I personally feel that if I have to play Shimakaze, the Tech 3 tier 10 Japanese destroyer, versus Hayate, this cold ship, I pick Hayate every single time. Because you do have guns that reload quickly. You do have the guns, and you still have the Shimakaze tops. Even though you don't have the best of the concealment, if you are engaging with the DD, you still can fight. And that's why I have to rate it to be very good. It's a B+ tier ship in my opinion. It's not going to be excellent, okay, but there are ships that are like better than the Hayate, and they are coming soon. But yeah, it's a very, very good ship, without a doubt. So you can see this is the Hayate. The HP pool is definitely better than Shima, and the guns having way better DPM. 250,000 DPM is kind of like that you are almost double the DPM than Shimakaze, which is huge. And you have really good alpha. You have very high alpha, 2.1k alpha, really good fire chance. Not going to say really good fire chance, but they're good in setting fires. And this reload time of 3.1 seconds is just such a sweet spot. The great thing about the Hayate, that even though you're missing one set of torpedo, you have only 10 torpedoes that you can drop, compared to the Shimakaze 15. You have a torpedo reload booster, the engine boost, and the smoke, all of that. But the reason why, even though the Hayate looks really good in firepower, really good that it does have defensive tool, really good that it does have more HP, it struggles sometimes because it's sluggish. Maneuverability is sort of worse than Shimakaze, okay? Turning circle is as big as some light cruiser. This turning circle is something that you find on light cruisers, and you're getting on destroyer. You are a long ship, okay? And your rudder shift is also not going to help you either. This turning circle is a big problem. Your speed is not. Your speed is great. And your concealment is another big problem. You have 6.1, okay? If Hayate would have 5.7, 5.8 kilometer of concealment, I think Hayate will simply get to the excellent mark, because there are some gunboats that can outspot Hayate. There are gunboats like the Vampire 2. There's a gunboat that is Lucian, which can outspot even Hayate. So fighting them can be painful, okay? But you still, as a torpedo board, is huge leap. And because of this, I love Hayate. I have to pick over Shimakaze this one many times. I think the Hayate will be doing wonders if you love the Shimakaze gameplay. Really strong, but I'm not going to say excellent. It becomes excellent if it does have a better concealment and slightly better turning circle. Because this turning circle is, if you play this ship, you will realize that it's going to turn not easy. And that's why you're going to be very vulnerable to a lot of shell hits by battleships, by cruisers. So you have to really manage this problem and this problem accordingly. But at least you can fight back in this Japanese DD, which I really love. So it's a B+ tier. It's a very good ship. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the American destroyer, which I can't believe that they have kind of buffed it. They have buffed one of the most powerful, one of the best cold destroyer in the game. And well, I'm talking about F.Sherman, okay? And honestly, if you ask me, where do I rate? And I would say A+ tier. If there is an A+ tier for Sherman in the middle of S and A, I would have put it here, especially with the addition of speed boost. It is very strong in its offensive and defensive. It's just a very powerful package that I think you should get it must. I would say it's the first priority of yours if you are thinking of getting a very strong destroyer. The only reason why Sherman is not onto the S tier broken is that its concealment is lacking. but it is very flexible. You have amazing shell velocity, you have the sap DPM that is absolutely nuts, you have really good HE DPM, you can set tons of fires, which you can see right there. 30,000 HP, great. You have now the addition of speed boost. So the single big problem for the Sherman, and I would have rated this ship excellent, not A plus tier, but at least A tier, because that it's not having the engine boost. But now they have added the engine boost alongside with defensive fire, which again is a very decent thing. Defensive fire can help shoot down more aircraft carrier planes. But what if the CV does not exist in the game? Then the defensive fire will be useless, okay? Now, with the engine boost, you will 100% make sure that even with the aircraft carrier matchmaking or without aircraft carrier matchmaking, you have the speed that makes you go almost 39, 38 knots. And now that you have the engine boost, you have superb amount of flexibility. You basically can make Sherman long range, making the range above 14 kilometer, and you can open water using the engine boost and farm battleships. Set fires with 258k HDPM, which is really good, but your SAP DPM is almost 400k. That is ridiculous. And remember, this is hull save, which can buff it to even more absurd levels. Okay, and this what really makes Sherman very, very strong against destroyers. The only biggest reason why I cannot make it broken is this concealment. It's 6.5 kilometer at best. And by the way, you have a hydro to basically catch DDs and smoke, and you should do that. And especially when you have the engine boost now, it makes so much more sense to push and catch those DDs. 5 kilometer hydro is huge. Okay, I'm definitely going to be using the engine boost mod 1 after making this video because it's super valuable. I can't believe that they have given the engine boost. It was already very, very good. With this, it becomes probably must buy no matter what. Okay, the problem is with the Sherman that it does have lack of tops, but you still have tops. Okay, you have 2 torpedoes with terrible angles on each side, but they are still usable. They have still enough range, and believe it or not, I was playing Ohio and there was a very good Sherman player that landed 4 torpedoes on me. 4 torpedoes. He dealt 40-50k damage with these torpedoes because you can just keep throwing them and something will stick. Okay, and the SAP DPM, it just crushes DDs, and you can smoke up to disengage. You have 3 smokes, you can farm BBs. Survivability, really, really good. 30,000 HP, really good. Speed boost, making you help that speed juking against cruiser shells, really good. Like, what do you want from a DD? This is a perfect package. This DPM, these guns, this whole stuff, except for the concealment. And, not the best of the turning circle, 680 meters. It can be tighter, but I still will say it's going to be better than Hayate in many, many situations. So because of this, I cannot make it overpowered, 6.5 kilometer concealment. Otherwise, every single thing is just so good. If DD really try to do some damage to you, you can just kill him. You just kill him, man. You're just gonna eat him alive. So Sherman is A plus tier. Okay, not A plus tier. I cannot show you here because I don't have the tier for this. Now the next ship is going to be the Russian destroyer. One of the OG destroyer that used to be, believe it or not, this used to be overpowered DD in its meta back in 2016, 2017. I mean, go and check out the videos. Everyone thought Khabarovsk to be basically uncounterable ship. The most painful ship to deal with, okay, was Khabarovsk. But now in 2026, the meta of the game has changed so much that it has gotten to the C tier average. It is absolutely insane with the introduction of F keys, with the gimmicks upon gimmicks, I don't know, super heals, burst fires. It just changes everything. And Khabarovsk, well, you can rate Khabarovsk slightly up to be good if you do have the leg mod, right? But I still believe that why would you play Khabarovsk when you have the Sherman, when you have the Marceau, when you have the Hayate, when you have the Alvaro D Bazan, when you have the other good DDs like the Black Neustrashimy. So I'm gonna put it here. It's honestly it's average now, unfortunately. Even though with the changes, it has gotten heal. It does have now improved heal, which they rated super heal, but it's not like super duper heal. It will heal 5,000 HP per heal that you use. You have 4 heal consumables. So I mean, you as a damage farmer, you can do well. It has decent DPM, not the best, but it's okay. You can use it. Maybe with the leg mod, I might put it here. Let's just be optimistic. It's not too bad, but it's just not really up to the meta. Your concealment is very bad, which you can see right there. It's 8.7. Sherman has way more DPM. Sap will just obliterate someone on broadside, but it has 6.5 if you fully build it. Okay. Yes, I didn't build it Khabarovsk for this. Oh, actually, I built Khabarovsk for this, which I can't believe. But the problem is that you have to swap concealment for this master fire control director. You need the range, and this range gets to around 14.8 kilometers. This is now very useful. The shell velocity is great, HP is great with the heals, so you can make Khabarovsk work, and it's a good ship. But you cannot like do the game-changing things like you do on other destroyers. Okay, your torpedoes are not useful at all whatsoever. You have 6 kilometers of torpedoes. They're very painful. You in fact cannot use them in most games unless you're maybe gonna bum rush someone. You just not be able to use them in any way or form, and your entire defense is not the best. Maneuverability is terrible. Again, cruiser maneuverability with terrible rudder shift time. 11.1 seconds of rudder shift time. Yeah, this ship turns like a brick. Okay, and to make things slightly better, it does have some interesting armor layout. I mean, you will shatter a lot of DDs and cruiser shells, so this helps in survivability. But the moment they use AP on your broadside, well, you will be then take more damage. The Z42, the Z52, the ships, the Elbing, for example, the Elbing, they penetrate your broadside. They will do a lot of damage with the AP. So gotta be careful. This can be blessing, and this can be devastating for Khabarovsk at the same time. So with the mod, with this one, it definitely kind of helps, making life slightly easier, but it's not like the best. And the concealment and torpedoes are just not that great. Okay, so it's a B tier good ship. I'm not gonna put it average. Leg mod does help, but now it's up to you. How do you think this ship to be rated in? Okay, so the next ship is going to be the French tier DD, and that is Marceau. Now, Marceau is very powerful. Okay, it's kind of like the HE version of Sherman, but its shell velocity is, I would say, not the best. Honestly, shell velocity is something that you have to master to make this ship work. But if I have to rate Marceau, I would say rate it to be, I would say B. I'm gonna put it excellent, but I would say in the middle of A tier and B plus tier. Okay, it's not Sherman. Okay, Sherman still can fight with Marceau, but I think Marceau is good enough. I would say in this A tier list, Marceau might get to the lower section rather than onto the higher section. Sherman definitely gets to the highest section. It can go A plus, especially with the addition of engine boost. But Marceau is really strong. Okay, it's still very strong. The only two things you have to really ask yourself whether you can make them work. First thing is its shell velocity. Okay, compared to the Sherman, the shell velocity is very bad at long ranges. In fact, you will sometimes struggle. Battleships you can farm even at 13 kilometers, but again, as cruisers, well, if they are very maneuverable, it's going to be very difficult. And especially if there's a destroyer that is hiding away from you and you want to farm that DD, well, you cannot. The shells will struggle to land. It becomes more of a skill wall. Even though you have a lot of HEDPM, you have pretty bonkers. Some of the highest HEDPM DDs in the game. You are in Marceau, which you can see right there. Great HP. You have built-in French saturation mechanics, which means that the more damage that you take onto any of the section, once it becomes saturated, then it will take half damage than normal penetration damage. Okay, this is a hidden mechanic, which makes Marceau HP practically way more than you are currently seeing. Once this whole area gets saturated, you will just take less damage. It's kind of like the same thing with submarines, but that's also the case with this French destroyer Marceau. So you have a lot of HP, even though you might only see 26,000 without heals. Great DPM, you 303,000 HE DPM, and do not forget the fact that I'm still not kicking in the Fearless Brawler. So if you kick that, this will become, I think, 330k. No, not really. Yeah, 330k HEDPM. Yeah, it's gonna go more than that, which is it's gonna be as good as Sherman. But you are spamming HE shells, okay? And you just set fires as well. So it's very, very good. And you have the improved Adrenaline Rush. It's gonna help a lot. So Marceau, with probably the most, I would say, fastest destroyer, with this DPM, 8 guns, with, I would say, slowest of the shell velocity, which you have to really practice and make it work. If you can make the concealment, which again is to the downside, it has 7 kilometer concealment at best, and its shell velocity is not the best. If you can make these things work, if you can mitigate these two problems, this is an excellent destroyer, which I can mitigate. I know how to make the shell velocity work at long ranges. If you can do that, it's an excellent ship. It will really do well. And the speed is going to help a lot. If there's a DD that's in the smoke and does not want to basically touch you, because Marceau can be sometimes very untouchable. If you are at around 3-4 kilometers, chances are you can even kill the Sherman, because you have the French saturation mechanics. You can kill basically any DD at close ranges. You have so much DPM, and this French saturation is going to help you so much. You can even kill the Sherman, but I think the Sherman also going to dent your HP so much that it's going to be very, very close. Maybe Sherman can kill you with the Smoke Hydro combo, and Marceau cannot do anything. I mean, it does not have smokes. It does not have anything to spot DD. It has to use and push very intelligently to make the speed work, even though your concealment is not good. And you have to utilize your defensive wave fire against aircraft carriers, which I would say is a great thing. Marceau is a speed monster, okay? And you want to be utilizing a lot of speed. You have more than 50 knots of speed. With the engine boost, you can go 20% up. Really strong ship. Just make sure that you don't get disappointed with the shells. The shells are slow, but at close range, they're still gonna work well, okay? Setting fires, great. You have, by the way, torpedoes that are very relevant, unlike Khabarovsk. Very, very relevant. 9 km torpedo range. You have 6 torpedoes on each side. They do decent damage. For a gunboat, having that much torpedoes is a blessing, and that's why it just does everything so great. But it's just not to the levels of Sherman. Sherman is definitely still A+ tier. Marceau is kind of like A- tier. It's above B+ tier, but it is definitely A- tier. Still an excellent choice, an excellent destroyer, especially if you like very fast destroyers. You wanna be speed juking like extremely well. Marceau does so much better job compared to the Sherman, and that's why I will rate it pretty good ship. All right, so the next ship, probably I believe, will be the most toxic ship that you can pick. Like seriously, this ship gets very dangerous 1 versus 1. Especially if you taking on battleships. If you are looking to farm him, Tromp is unlike anything. It is nightmare for battleship. It is so goddamn insane. Okay, the only problem is if there are aircraft carriers that can spot the Tromp, then obviously you can mitigate the issue, and you have to run back because carrier is a police. It's a fun police, but that's the case with all destroyers. So Tromp, definitely an A tier. It's a very strong ship, man. I think I will kind of rate it toe to toe with Sherman. I will slightly rate it less, just slightly, but it's still an A tier regardless. It is seriously a very toxic ship. Okay, now the reason why Tromp is great: you have decent HP, you have relevant guns. Okay, you can have as good a range as 13.3 kilometer while still retaining pretty decent DPM. It's not like amazing. Hayate can even do really well against Tromp. It's 178k HEDPM, but still, for you having airstrikes, which again is the bread and butter of the ship, having the speed boost to basically engage or disengage faster is huge. okay? And you have a great concealment as well, believe it or not. You have 5.8 kilometer of concealment if you build it. Your turning circle is not best. It's kind of like, again, the same problem with the Hayate. You have the same problem in the Tromp. But you have a decent speed, and speed with the engine boost, emergency engine power, can help so much. But the bread and butter of the Tromp is the airstrikes. You can do quite some shenanigans, okay? You can basically airstrike a battleship. You have 2 attack flights. If you have 1 attack flight loaded, you use that, and they're very, I would say, among all the other airstrikes, like the Gudeliu, the Utrecht, they are most easiest. They are the very easiest to drop. They have less time lead. It's going to take very small lead to drop onto the battleship. Once you do that, you drop once, he DCPs the fire because the fire chance is absurd. You drop a lot of bombs, and you can penetrate the superstructure of any ship in the game. It's 20 millimeter penetration. So a superstructure usually at tier 10 is 19 millimeter. So basically, you can still do a lot of damage with a lot of bombs. And you can even drop on destroyers, which is even funny thing. And you have 12 kilometer of range, which again is a buffed range. It used to be not that much range. It used to be, I think, 10 kilometer. You make him fire. You make him DCP. You get another strike onto his superstructure. You get a permanent fire. If that's not enough, you basically send torpedoes, which are very, very relevant. 12 kilometer range, really good damage, very good reaction time. They are very stealthy tops, and you get a flood. And if that's not enough, well, you can shoot guns. Open water with the engine boost active. So you are going to be the most painful thing if the battleship pushes you. And he might push you because he don't know where you are. And you can outspot DDs. You can have 5.8 kilometer of concealment, and you decide whether you want to engage or not. It's a very competitive concealment. 5.8 is good. I haven't built for it. That's an exception. But if you can do this, that's amazing. And Conrad Helfrich, my god. And Conrad Helfrich with demolition expert on top of it. You have 13.5% fires, and that is, phew, blew my mind. This is gonna set so many fires. And you can buff your airstrikes. You can get another airstrike flight, and I'm telling you, you get 50 bombs very easy. You can just proc this talent every single time. You have 3 attack flights. 3 freaking attack flights. And if you get a Witherer, which very much possible, this Conrad Helfrich kind of makes it overpowered, believe it or not, okay? If you do have this, it kind of makes it overpowered. If you just proc these talents, it becomes overpowered. But I mean, for most scenarios, you might not, because you're learning if you have just bought the ship. So ask yourself, you can improve the alpha every 50,000 damage. You can improve the alpha of AG shells, of the AP shells, of the airstrike bomb damage. This is probably the best thing that can happen to Tromp. This Conrad Helfrich is so goddamn powerful. It kind of makes it overpowered. Yes, you don't have hydro, so ask yourself, I mean, how are you going to dodge the enemy torpedoes? Maneuverability can be sometimes pain without engine boost. So these are the things that you can mitigate for sure. And you can be devastating against battleships, light cruisers. Oh my god, light cruisers in smoke? Drop bombs. You will do a lot of damage. Smoke on DDs on smoke, drop bombs. There's just so many utility. Master the airstrikes, master how to farm damage with the guns while using speed boost, and you master the Tromp. And you can be super toxic ship in the game. And that's why it's going to be an excellent ship. Over the course of so many months, they actually have buffed it, which makes it from B plus tier to A tier, believe it or not. Same is the case goes to Alvaro D Bazan, especially with the Spanish captain that is coming, which apparently, if you get his talent proc, you can, in Alvaro D Bazan, get 9,000 HP buff. I mean, they will nerf it. Most likely, they're going to be balanced, change the captain, the unique commander, which is coming at the later part of 2026. But if it does come with that thing, it's going to buff the Alvaro D Bazan even further. It might buff the F key, which I'm quite sure that you guys might know of the Alvaro D Bazan. Another excellent ship. I mean, Alvaro D Bazan, F key will just crew destroyer. So for example, if you are very low HP, okay, very low HP. You know you're about to die. You will still do 10k damage because you can burst fire 3 salvos. You can burst fire the moment you are getting into the smoke. The moment you are getting behind the island, this burst fire is so goddamn good. So as you can see, this is Alvaro D Bazan. Sorry guys, just kidding. But here's the thing about Alvaro D Bazan, obviously. 31,000 HP, very good. HEDPM is, I would say, average for a gunboat. I mean, Hayate has better if you build it, but still decent, especially that you have the burst fire. You can have 3 salvos in a single second. Remember, from 4.6 seconds of reload time, you're getting the reload time of 1 second. So in 3 seconds, you will have 3 bursts with better dispersion. So even tighter dispersion than destroyer shells. Okay, with really good shell velocity on this destroyer, you will obviously, with this 10% main battery shell dispersion improvement, there's a very high chance that you land almost all the shells. And so your burst fire will be super effective. Okay, so you can use the moment you're getting smoke up, the moment you want to disengage, the moment you're going to die. Okay, you will just do damage, permanent damage onto that DD who is thinking that I have enough HP to survive. You can kill that DD, okay, at the last moment with this burst fire. Burst fire is super powerful, and it does still have a 17.6 seconds of reload time. It has gotten buffed many times. The DPM has gotten buffed many times. Okay, and then it has torpedoes which are decent, not the best, but they're relevant. They actually are stealthy and has a decent reaction time of 6.7 seconds. The concealment obviously is the reason that I cannot think to be overpowered. Okay, if it does have a better concealment, I can build for concealment, but it gets to around 6.3, 6.2 kilometer. If it gets a good concealment like 5.8, 5.7 maybe, that would be that would be just broken. Because you basically just outspot DDs now. Many DDs is gonna get outspotted by this amazing concealment, but you don't have it. So yeah, he will have more chance to disengage or engage because he's the one that spots you. So Alvaro D Bazan cannot do that in most situations. So, but the burst fire, the moment the Shimakaze is about to smoke and get spotted, you just burst fire him, and you will just do stupid damage. It is very valuable. I tell you, it's a very powerful thing that makes it A tier. It's an excellent ship because of the healing, and especially the upcoming Spanish captain is gonna make it even better. Just like I said, it might get healing capacity. Okay, indirect healing power from the Spanish unique commander. So yeah, that is the thing. Good damage farmer, nothing special, but it does the job well. Okay, it has enough range. You can open water farm. It does the job. It's not like Sherman still. Sherman, I will still gonna rate it better. Okay, Sherman DPM is super consistent, but the F key can be devastating. Okay, F key makes it very good. In fact, sometimes broken under many situations. You want to do a smart play. I think Bazan can be very smart ship to pick, because with the F key you can do very smart things. That's what I will say. Something that many other destroyers cannot. So it's a great gunboat DD. Absolutely worth it. A tier. Excellent, at least in my opinion. With the F key is just amazing. Okay, so the next ship is going to be something that you can dive underwaters. Okay, I'm talking about a submarine. And well, I think this broken tier exists for this submarine because, I mean, it's unlike anything in the game. It's unlike anything in the game. It's the most retarded, it's the most stupid sort of design. Again, I have to say, what is this ship? Okay, it has the fastest speed underwater. In the maximum speed, you can go across the map 38 knots, and you can just snipe someone without you getting caught in a hydro or anything, because a hydro in the maximum depth can only spot you within 2 kilometers. So you will bypass any of that. You can bypass it simply because you have a hydrophone. And a hydrophone can basically tell you that there's a Sherman, for example. He's 4 kilometers away. You can just bypass him. He does not even know that you are below water. No, I would say RPF can spot where you are. Nothing will spot except the submarine. So with the submarine surveillance, someone accidentally used the submarine surveillance, like the Venezia, but how does he know that you are underwater moving 37 knots? It's a very ridiculous ship with its design. And obviously I'm gonna put it broken. Now, obviously, you don't have the guns. You will have some struggle if you are a new submarine player. You will still struggle, but that's the case with all submarines. They cannot have the best of the game impact. Okay, you will struggle to basically take on DDs because you have to ping. You have to really show your location with the help of ping, and someone can send ASW strikes, and all those shenanigans are there. Okay, your game impact is not that great. Destroyers have more game impact. Sherman will do way better overall with all ship classes, but this can go stupid toxic. Like, it's really toxic ship. Okay, I'm just really questioning its game design. It has a broken game logic. Okay, CVs also have a broken game logic to some extent, but you can still mitigate it. But the submarines can be sometimes stupid because you have a homing tops that can sometimes be so devastating. I tell you, if you play a Colbert Smolensk and he does a double ping on you because he's a very experienced player, he knows what he's doing. You cannot dodge those tops. You just can't do that. I mean, you can. How can you catch a submarine that is like underwater 37 knots, maximum speed, maximum depth, maximum, I would say, toxicity. So as you can see, it does have a lot of tools. If you are a experienced submarine player, I'm telling you, you are playing World of Warships on a nightmare mood. This will put you in a situation where you won't be able to play or do anything. Carriers does the same thing, but you know that you can run away, you can dodge sometimes, somehow, but you cannot sometimes dodge these homing tops unless you just keep running away and pray that you just turn out on time. You just have this tighter turning circle that just makes you to evade these homing tops. Okay, which by the way does very consistent damage. 9.8k, that's 10k damage. Okay, you have heals, you have 4 DCBs that have a 15 seconds of action time, not 5, 15 seconds. You have a hydrophone which makes sure that you can bypass Venezia, you can bypass anything. And they don't know even in the first place unless there's a hydrophone of a submarine. But that still does not spot at maximum depth. At maximum depth, you are full stealth mode, moving at 37 knots underwater. If I can show you, 37.8 knots, that's 38 knots. This is a prime example of this broken design on a submarine like U-251. And if you might be thinking, well, if you stay in the maximum underwater for a very long time, well, then your battery will run out. Guess what? They have given 3 reserve battery units, and you can buff reserve battery unit by just using this upgrade. You have what? More than 100 seconds of reserve battery unit onto your submarine, and you have heals. Even though it's probably the most, I would say, weaker in terms of you having very less HP, but you have heals, and if you use all 3 heals very effectively at the surface, you have basically the same HP like all the other subs. So if you might be thinking this is a weakness, well, it is a weakness if every single guy drop ASW strikes on you and you die because of it. Because one airstrike direct hit can do 4.9k damage at tier 10. So that's where it can be pain. But if you know what you're doing, you are very how can someone counter this? You can't be countered, sadly. Yes, you have 21 knots at the surface, at the periscope depth, but you don't need to stay at the surface. You stay underwater, ping, bully the guy, bully the crap, and if you want to bully DDs, well, you have Jager concealment on a sub. Jager concealment on tops. On sub. If you stay at the surface, you can actually spot Alvaro D Bazan for a Sherman. in a very, I would say, cool way. You are the boss. You spot the DDs. You spot the DDs, goddamn DDs. The only pain point is gonna be that someone has a hydro and someone is trying to catch you with the hydro and trying to push you up, but you can stay this underwater and just run away. The game logic is a problem. This might not be broken in terms of firepower. If firepower is strong, great. Okay, you throw a lot of tops. 6 torpedoes at the back, 4 torpedoes on the front. Your torpedoes are great, and they home, and they can go very toxic. But the problem is that there are very limited to no counters on this underwater submarine. The game logic is broken, I will say. That's why I'm putting it S tier. It might not necessarily be S tier in terms of firepower. Okay, in terms of firepower, you know who's S tier? It's gonna be I-5644. Okay, that has 27,000, 28,000 torpedo damage. Homing torpedo damage. That ship is, I wish Wargaming does not add that ship ever for sale. Ever. Because it is, I mean, you will rage quit while eating I-5644 tops. At least in this case, you won't rage quit because they still do 10,000 homing tops damage. And they don't have alternative tops. But the game design is just completely broken of the U-451. Okay, so the next ship. Now we are going to take a look at tier 9s. Okay, we have covered all the tier 10s. The tier 9, this is going to be Iwami, the Japanese tier 9 battleship, which I would say is decent. In fact, I might rate it to be B+ tier. It does everything good, and that's it. Like, it does everything good. It does have a couple of unique qualities. I'm not going to say B tier because the gun's accuracy is decent. At long ranges, you can play well. And at medium ranges, if you want to be at around 9-10 kilometer against an enemy battleship, you actually have great secondaries. Which is very funny, interesting part. It's a unique part of the Iwami that you can be good at medium to close range. If there's a DD try to rush you, your secondaries can work really well, and your accuracy can be good. Your armor profile is not bad. So Iwami is a prime example that this battleship is just good in so many things, but it's just not amazing in some aspects. Like, it's not amazing like the Sherman has like insane DPM. Iwami has great guns. They are very useful. They are pretty good in accuracy. You have a good reload time. You have a good torpedo protection. You have a very good HP. You actually have good secondaries, believe it or not. You can have 10.5 kilometer of secondaries and have wing Georgia, Massachusetts, Ohio. If I'm not wrong, you have built-in accurate secondaries. So if you build it while using the secondary, even without using this one, manual secondary, if you use the manual, it becomes very strong because you have 100mm that actually penetrate 37 millimeter plating. Or even if you don't use the IFHE, I will say you're still going to penetrate 30 millimeter plating. So there are cruisers that just simply take a lot of penetration. So at long ranges, the guns are great. At medium to close ranges, your secondaries can work well. Okay, you can see that I'm using the IFHE because now you can penetrate 32 millimeter of plating, and your accuracy of secondaries is still good enough that you don't need to use manual secondary battery aiming. And with 10.5 kilometer of range, which is again underwhelming, especially now we do have the Bismarck 41 that has manual 13.5 kilometer range, which is absolutely absurd, and it's one tier lower. Iwami still does everything great. Okay, it's a very good ship. It just does everything well. Nothing fancy, nothing like F keys. It's just a good old design, and it will do wonders. And it does have tops, believe it or not. You have kind of like the Yoshino treatment on a battleship. Okay, you have like 4 torpedoes on each side. As you can see, you have this torpedo right there, and you have you can send these, and they can actually clip, and you kind of have this sort of gimmick. Great range, everything is good. Secondaries can work. Yeah, your anti-defense is not good. Remember, it's a Japanese ship. Japanese ships don't have great anti-defenses. There's the same case with the Iwami. Carriers can farm you, hurt you, kill you. You can't protect yourself, okay? You can't do anything. You don't have a spotter plane, nor even a fighter plane to defend yourself. But you do have the heels, and you have, if you want to build it for concealment, you can do this. But I didn't, because I'm kind of sacrificing the concealment for the fire prevention or want to get some good healing potential. So, great ship. Definitely a B plus tier. Very strong. I'm not going to say very strong, but it's a very good ship. It's a great ship. Good accurate guns, overmatched cruisers, at least at its tier 9. It will work well. Okay, now we have another tier 9 battleship, and that is going to be Kearsarge. Okay, the tumor of a superstructure, but having insanity in terms of offensive capabilities. The offensive capabilities of the Kearsarge are clearly tier 10 levels. The plane, it's a hybrid battleship. It's a hybrid battleship, and it has the most powerful rockets you can get at tier 9. The rockets are absolutely ridiculous. The ship overall, in terms of hull design, is weak, but you have a lot of HP to tank. It does have that superstructure that can be farmed, and that's why it's a long-range ship. But it's a very, very good ship. In fact, if you know how to play carriers, you know how to spot DDs, which it can spot. No battleships can. This can, because it does have a planes. Planes have this huge advantage. So Kearsarge is going to go to the A tier. Excellent ship. Now, even though I'm saying that it's an excellent ship, it's a very, very strong ship. It's not broken. Very strong ship. You just need to remember one thing. How you want to be playing this ship will decide if you can make this work. Because if you take a look at the armor, this is what you're getting. Okay? So at medium to close ranges, you will take a lot of damage. Everyone can farm. You will die very quickly if you're not playing it at optimal ranges. So optimal range of the Kearsarge is 15 to 20 kilometer or beyond. If you're not doing that, if you're not using 15 to 22.7 kilometer range, this Kearsarge problem is such that you can easily rate Kearsarge to be not excellent. In fact, you might even think it average because the way it takes damage. But for this, Wargaming does have given great amount of HP, 88% torpedo protection. But unlike that, I've seen many dumb Kearsarge players playing it only for the sake that it has planes. This is the worst idea. You don't know how powerful these guns are because you haven't even tried. I'm talking about to those Kearsarge players who just play it like a carrier, because it's not. You go and try out these guns, which you do have 12 of them, 1.9 Sigma, and with the accuracy mod that you can slap with minus 11% main battery shell dispersion, you can get very tight dispersion. Really, really good dispersion. And if that's not enough in terms of firepower, the rockets are completely next level. You have tiny Tims, 15 rockets, because the size of attack flight is 5. The size of the attack flight is 5, and you have 3 rockets in payload on each plane. Throw 50 rockets, and you basically gonna permanently set fire. 100% every rocket salvo if you know how to lead, if you know how to aim these rockets, because they are not super easy. They have a good delay of rockets. But if you know that, you can do 15 to 20k damage in a single rocket strike. And remember that these rockets come after every 100 seconds. 100 seconds, you can launch the rockets, you can spot the DDs, you can spot the cruisers behind the island, and you can farm battleships really well. And you can even switch to HE if you have set fire and they have DCP'd the fire from the rockets. After they have taken 20k damage, you make them DCP the fire, and you can switch to HE shells, and you can set double permanent fires. Because the fire chance of the HE shells are great. And you can AP smash them, great AP penetration. The shells are a bit wonkier, they are a bit more arcier. You have to really compare it with North Carolina shells, because these are indeed North Carolina shells that you find at a tier 8 tech tree battleship. So ask yourself, can you make this combo work? I make it work, and it does. It really is a playmaker. Okay, it is a very strong battleship if you know what you're doing. Okay. So offensive part and the spotting part is amazing. Spotting part is very unique and makes Kearsarge at least got to the excellent. The defensive part is where you can maybe put it to be B plus tier because of how you rate it. I rate it in such that if I stay at range, I can still make this work. I can still make this tumor that it does have on top of the superstructure, I can make it work. But I cannot put it to be broken, because it's not broken. If it does have very tanky hull, the superstructure covered with some sort of magical plating, I might would have rated it to be broken. Alright, so the next ship is going to be the Tier 9 brother of Großer Kurfürst. I really think that it is indeed the lost brother of Kurfürst, and I'm talking about the Pommern, the Tier 9 premium German battleship. And well, guess what? Just like its elder brother, the Kurfürst, Pommern is also average, sadly. It's not good, okay? It's really not good. It's again, same problems that I have with the Kurfürst, same problems Pommern has. Like literally ditto copy, same problems. Gigantic superstructure, a lot of thick armor plating, which can work well. You can bounce shells, but this sometimes not good enough. You don't have improved survivability in HP, 80 seconds of cooldown time, and you are a secondary brawler, and you have another big problem. You have only 380mm guns at Tier 9. You cannot overmatch any shit. Heavy cruisers cannot get overmatched. Azuma, Alaska, Kronstadt, many heavy cruisers that have 27mm plating. There are many cruisers. They cannot get overmatched. And your accuracy is even worse, tier for tier, compared to the Kurfürst. You have 1.5 Sigma, Kurfürst has 1.8. And you are just sacrificing so much for these secondaries, which are decent. They can work. And you're sacrificing your, I would say, Sigma parameter for getting torpedoes that you do have compared to the Kurfürst, which is a unique thing, that you actually can have torpedoes at close distance, okay? You can actually brawl someone and you can have some edge with the tops. But well, what are you gonna do with this superstructure, man? This will take a lot of damage. You have decent HP, 81k, but same problems that I have discussed in the case of Kurfürst, same problem goes to the Pommern. It's not a meta ship. We have the Valparaisos with the F keys. We have the battleships now that have 60 seconds of cooldown time. Look at the Los Andes. Look at the Libertad. They have 60 seconds of cooldown time, and they just do really, really well. Okay, this will struggle with the accuracy. It will struggle even further. Okay, Kurfürst slightly does better. Okay, but it does not even have the leg mod. Kurfürst at least have a leg mod. So I still rating it maybe the average because of the Gunther Luthens, because still help a lot. But still, I mean, the ship now, please. I mean, it's an average ship. Secondaries can be amazing sometimes. On PvP modes, Pommern can be really nice. Not gonna lie. And by the way, Pommern, if you look at the penetration numbers of the Pommern, they're very, 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 I would say, below average. Penetration can be sometimes even a joke. Kurfürst still have decent penetration for its caliber. Pommern sucks even further. That sometimes that you cannot even citadel battleships where you want to citadel them. Sometimes, okay? So Pommern is C tier average, not good ship at all. Maybe I might put it to be D tier, but it's not too bad. Especially if you are looking for a PvP mood play, it can sometimes be fun. But in the randoms, you just kind of, I think, want to suffer yourself if you pick Pommern. It's difficult ship, especially if you are not experienced player. Okay, so the next ship is going to be an Italian battleship that have gotten buffed a couple of times. It used to have, I think, 1.8 or 1.7 Sigma, but now it has 1.9 if I'm not wrong. It used to have worse reload time on its guns because they thought that the sap is too good. They might as well just not give him great reload time, but they also have buffed that, making Marco Polo from B tier good, because it's definitely better than the Kurfürst and the Pommern for sure. I would say after these buffs, with the sap, that it is pretty decent, especially if you do have the Luigi Cincinnati. Luigi Cincinnati, with this, Marco Polo absolutely gets to the B tier, okay? Kind of has the same treatment, just like the Iwami. Basically like the Iwami, it does everything good. Not particularly bad, but the Iwami has key advantages like the secondaries. Marco Polo just does hard hitting with sap, okay? And you can do 15k, sometimes 20k, sometimes. It's not exactly Colombo, because Colombo just throws so many shells, but they are still 406mm guns, okay? better caliber, which means that you still can overmatch light cruisers, so you can negate their angling, which is a huge thing with the sap that you can have with the Marco Polo. And so that's why it's just good ship. Armor profile, great. Superstructure is actually small. It's not like super gigantic, big oof superstructure. Yes, anyone can penetrate, and you can be citadeled, unlike Colombo, which is super duper resistant in getting citadel. Marco Polo at least can get citadel. The problem with the Marco Polo is why I cannot rate it excellent, that its accuracy still sometimes suck. Even after the reload buff, it still has 30.4 seconds, okay? So with the reload mod, now it gets barely to 30 seconds. You can reduce it further with the AR kicked in, and your HP is the biggest reason why I cannot put it to be very strong. I would say excellent. It cannot go excellent. I might even say that it's in the middle of good and very good. Maybe I would say slightly worse than Iwami, but the sap does kick hard, okay? If you want to get that experience with sap, with better caliber, it does the job. It does everything great, okay? The only issue is this. HP, I just don't like it whatsoever. I don't know why it does have very low HP, okay, for Tier 9. There are many battleships that has like over 80k. If it does have 80k, that would make so much more interesting, okay? Decent concealment, not gonna lie, decent speed at 33.6 knots, and if you have the brisk, it's gonna help a lot, and especially if you have the gun feeder, the Luigi Sansonati, especially if you get the range, okay? If you get a kill, you again will get that slight juicy vertical dispersion buff, and that just helps a lot in landing shells consistently. And that's why, simply because of the Luigi Sansonati, if you get those buffs, okay, this ship becomes very good. Otherwise, it's a good ship, not super good, but you will get, I would say, good experience, kind of like the Iwami. Okay, so now we have again the smaller brother of Yoshino, and that is Azuma at tier 9 now. So this cruiser is decent, okay? It's not very good. It does again the same things as Yoshino. And well, the good part of the Azuma, I would say two things. Azuma does have better cooldown time on heals, which is 40 seconds, which does help its survivability. Its HP is great. It does have like 62,000 HP if you fully build it. And you retain the same guns as Yoshino. In fact, Yoshino get the guns from Azuma once Yoshino got released. So same guns at tier 9. So that's better at lower tiers. AP slaps more against tier 7 cruisers, and HE spam will be stronger. Okay, the reload time is decent, the guns are great. Okay, HE, same thing. All the shells that does great on Yoshino, all of the things that does Azuma well, except that it does not have top. So at close ranges you will be, I would say, more weaker. But at tier 9 it's still pretty decent, okay, for long range HE spammer. Nothing special, nothing great, cannot say very good, because this armor sucks, and it sucks really hard, okay? Its armor is not good, okay? You have the HP, but if you take a look at the armor, you have worse now. You have 27mm 27mm deck and side. This is gonna get more overmatched, and you have again the same problem. This gigantic superstructure, this gigantic citadel. So it's just gonna make your life hard. Survivability problems will make it not very good at all whatsoever. Defense is great because it has smoke. Salem is great because it has super heal. They have some good tools. Moskva has great tankiness. Yoshino, Azuma, they kind of suffers with survivability. They kind of suffers with terrible maneuverability. The range is great. You have the spotter plane, the same thing like Yoshino, basically almost everything like Azuma. Okay? The same concept of Yoshino is there. But it's just not interesting to me whatsoever. And that's why I'm gonna put Azuma to be B tier. Good. At least better than the Kurfurst and Pommern once again. I mean, it kind of sucks to see these battleships are under these tiers, but it is what it is. Can't do much. Now, the next ship is going to be Tulsa, the smaller brother of Des Moines, the true smaller brother of Des Moines, but some key advantages, okay? So, Tulsa, definitely a B plus tier. Very, very good ship. If you know how to play Des Moines, you will love Tulsa. If you love Des Moines, you will love Tulsa because it's exactly the same play style. Okay? So as you can see, this is Tulsa. Its HEDPM is not like Des Moines because it's a tier 9 ship, but it has improved pan angles, it has a really good reload time, and you have the guns, 4 of them on the bow and having destroyer dispersion. Okay? They somehow realized since that it has less guns, okay, it's inconsistent when it was having cruiser dispersion, so they buffed it, and that's a good thing. Another good thing is that, well, if you take a look at the concealment and radar, okay, as you can see, 9.5 kilometer of concealment and 9 kilometer of radar. Now the radar is worse in terms of range, but your concealment is significantly better compared to the Des Moines. So I still will like Tulsa, kind of like that same thing as Des Moines. Now it does not have the leg mod built in to the Tulsa. If you're expecting to have this Des Moines leg mod thingy on Tulsa, it's not. Okay, but it is a great ship, great radar. Again, if you counter DDs, it just makes cruiser very good for what it does. Okay, very, I would say, good in terms of game impact. And you can use the islands as cover. Same thing as Des Moines. Tuck behind the island, use it as a cover. Don't get exposed, especially because you have 27mm armor. Okay, this is very vulnerable, but you do have the heals. Okay, normal heals, nothing special. Salem at least gets the super heal, so it gets some great benefits. But you have a radar, which is super powerful, valuable tool. So again, all around very decent ship. Expect everything that you like on Des Moines, you do it on Tulsa. So a B plus tier, very good ship. Alright, so the next ship is another heavy cruiser, and that is Agir, which I really like compared to the Azuma and Yoshino for 100% sure. I would say Agir is good for its armor profile, which again is kind of better tier for tier, okay? Which I will talk about it. So in my opinion, Agir is definitely B plus tier. It's a very good ship. Now, definitely a very important thing, and which really makes Agir straight up better than Azuma, is simply its armor layout. You have 30mm deck. Yes, you have a superstructure, but this deck is just significant because now you are resistant to 406mm guns, and you also have this armor belt, which again can be valuable against angling battleships, but sometimes can be painful if you tend to broadside. In fact, your citadel is still very vulnerable. It's a weak turtleback armor scheme, and you still retain 27mm bow, but still better than Azuma. So armor layout is just straight up better. The guns are also great. You have battle cruiser dispersion, 2.05 sigma, again kind of the same thing. Azuma also have the battle cruiser dispersion, but your AP and your armor is stand out. Your AP is really good. In fact, it does 9.5k alpha with really good penetration, decent penetration. Okay, with really good accuracy. And you also have like really good HE shells in terms of setting fires. But the HE alpha, which is again the problem with the German battleships, they just tend to have weaker alpha. Okay, same is the case with the Agir. So HE is weak, but AP is strong. Torpedo protection is actually way, like, surprisingly probably the most tankiest out of all cruisers. 37% we are talking about. This is like very outstanding. HV is outstanding, concealment is outstanding, speed is great. These are all things that I combine, and it just makes it very good. And you also have torpedoes compared to the Azuma. Azuma don't have tops, it have tops. You have a 6km hydro, which again is very powerful as well. So that's why, because of these key advantages, the armor profile, the powerful hydro, torpedoes at close ranges, great guns, Agir definitely gets to the B plus tier. It's a very good heavy cruiser. A very good ship, B plus tier indeed. Now we have the tier 9 premium French heavy cruiser, the Carnot. But here's the problem with the Carnot, okay? You can really compare it with the Agir in terms of armor profile because it's still also resistant to 406mm guns. But the problem is that unlike Agir, for some reason, it gets extra gun from 9 to 10 turrets, and it has significantly worse DPM, significantly worse reload time for some reason that I still don't understand, and it does not come up with a reload booster either. And that's why, really straight up compared with the Agir is a better choice. Carnot is not better choice. Specifically if you compare it with Agir. It's as good as Azuma though. It is decent. It's not bad. Especially in terms of armor layout. This armor is still good. 36mm deck, and you also have 30mm side plating. You still can tank 406mm guns effectively. You can basically bounce those shells, which is good. But look at the reload time. Even with the reload mod, it's getting 22 seconds. For some reason I don't understand. And you don't have the, I would say, reload booster either. If it does get the reload booster, Carnot becomes very, very strong actually. But it does not. And that's why it just makes it very average. Because you want to see Carnot having reload booster for a premium tier 9. But it doesn't. Filippo Bonio, well, if you do have the reload booster, you might get dev struck some ships and you might get that talent activated, which does improve the reload time, but it's gonna be difficult. The AP is great, HE is great, and that's why I can rate it as good as Azuma, because its defensive capabilities are better, but its offensive capabilities are weaker. Concealment is decent, everything is okay. In fact, the speed is pretty good. You can go more than 40 knots with a 20% engine boost. And as you can see, you have in fact 36.2 knots with the engine with the speed flag, and with the engine boost you can go faster. But I just still don't think so that it's better than Agir for sure, in my opinion, because of that worse reload time. So for me, Carnot is a good ship, B tier, nothing's too special, and that's it. Okay, so the next ship is going to be pretty powerful against destroyers. And it's also going to be expensive for coal. It's going to cost 285,000 coal, but I think it is very good for what it does. Black, still, in my opinion, with that super powerful gimmick, which is smoke radar combo, is still very lethal. And for that, I'm going to put A tier, excellent ship. Not exactly to the A tier levels like the Sherman, like the Alvaro D Bazan or Tromp, because they are, I would say, better. I think if I have to rate Black, I might put it in the middle of A tier and B plus tier. That's why I'm putting it here. Okay, I might as well put the Agir right there, because Agir is good. B plus tier definitely has these priorities like this, which is pretty good. The Black definitely feels A minus for sure. Not B plus tier, but A minus. So this is Black, and this smoke and radar combo is still very deadly. And the fact that you still retains great concealment if you fully build it for it, you can outspot chips, right? And you can decide whether you want to smoke radar that DD or not, okay? Because you can outspot so many DDs. If there's a DD that already has a very low HP, well, you don't need to radar it. But if you know there's a gunboat that can be a big threat, well, and even if there is a German destroyer, for example, okay, like Z-52, a tier 10 destroyer that has a 6 km hydro, well, guess what? You can smoke radar, which is 7.5 kilometer, and you can get out of their 6 kilometer of hydro, and you can just counter that. And he has to be really run away from this radar, because it's gonna last 25 seconds. 25 seconds for a destroyer is very impressive, and this smoke is an American smoke. That's also going to last very long. So you can farm battleships. Your DPM is great. As you can see, it's having 993,000 HE DPM. And you have decent HP. And you have very weird tops. Stealthy, but they are stupidly slow. Like, genuinely weirdest tops in the game. But they can work. They're kind of like sea mines. And they have a decent reload time, even if you don't build it for tops. They still be fine. 21.6k damage is no joke, and their reaction time is still good, so they can still work. Okay, so with the good torpedoes, slowest torpedoes, smoke radar combo, you are a very anti-destroyer thing, and you can even catch the DDs that have hydros, like the Sherman. You can caught them off guards. You can even caught 5.5 km hydrolution. because you have a radar that is 7.5 kilometer. So you can farm them effectively without taking any damage whatsoever. Like, this in ranked should be your number one pick. This in rank can be so devastating for a DD. And that's why it is an excellent destroyer. Not particularly amazing in its shell velocity. The guns are not great, okay? The shells are slow. And that's why I'm not even building it up without concealment. I mean, you want to use something else because, well, you can stealth radar regardless, but your shell velocity is so bad that you want to be catching DDs at 5.8 kilometer with the radar to basically at least manage to hit a lot of shells, because the moment they go around 6 or 7 kilometer even, the shells, they will be difficult to land onto them because the shells are slower. But regardless, a very strong gimmick and an excellent A-tier ship, worth it for gold. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the Halford, okay? This having planes, it's another, just like Kearsarge, a hybrid ship. In fact, it's a hybrid destroyer. So what does Halford bring? Well, it does bring planes, but unfortunately, even though it has planes, they are not as good as Kearsarge. But they're very annoying because you can spot DDs and you can basically spot them without you getting spotted. You launch the planes, you spot the DDs, and you can just really ruin the game by just keep them spotting. So you're very annoying in terms that you use your planes to spot DDs. But the problem is that you are not good in anything else. You're sacrificing so much for the planes that you are getting on a destroyer. As you can see, you have the planes that you can launch. But look at the DPM. It's not impressive. 162,000 HE DPM. Sometimes it can work, but again, you don't have any extra valuable things to make you survivable, okay? So HE DPM is just, I would say, above average, but it's not special. Black does have better because it does have extra gun. And even concealment is 6.1. It's not 5.8 like the black. The speed is great for some reason, 39.9 knots. And you also have the speed boost, which does make its speed very blistering fast. And you have the planes. And they have recently buffed the planes. If you take a look at the planes, you do have a size of 5 attacking flight, and you have a unique thing. You have 10 aircraft on deck. You can actually load up 2 squadrons. You can launch 2 flights, okay? But again, you have only 10 rockets in payload. Kearsarge has 15 tiny team rockets. And they can work. I mean, you can just drop any target 2 times, okay? If you have loaded up. But it's still gonna take 120 seconds to load 5 planes, okay? So it's gonna take some time if you want to have 2 squadron loaded at the same time. But it still sacrifices so much. Even though these planes are great, you can spot ships like crazy, your DPM is not good enough, and your torpedoes are also not good enough. Your concealment is also not good enough. So it's a weird ship, okay? It sacrifices too much, and that's why I personally will put Halford to be B tier. Now, there are some shenanigans, okay? You are in smoke. For example, you are in smoke. There's a DD around 6-7 kilometers, okay? You can spot the DD. You basically throw rockets, maybe not necessarily hit him with rockets, but that extra spotting of, I think, around 5 seconds is going to be enough that you can shoot him while you are in smoke, okay? You can do these sort of shenanigans. You can even set fires on battleships, make them DCP, and you can then smoke up and farm him. But you have still not everything good. Like, the gun's performance is like just not good enough. Sorry if you are thinking that the planes combo will work. For me, it does not. For me, it's just B tier. It's a good ship with planes. Not good enough. Alright, so the next ship is actually very good. In fact, it's kind of the same thing as black in a different way. In an entirely different way. So, I'm talking about the zombie heal destroyer. A destroyer that can soak up a lot of damage thanks to the super heal. And Neustrashimy is definitely gonna be A tier excellent. Now, hold on. You might be thinking, well, how can you rate this ship to be excellent? Because if you take a look at its gun performance is terrible. And I agree. its gun performance is kind of comparable to the Shimakaze at tier 9. Okay, Shimakaze is at tier 10, Neustrashimy is at tier 9, so 122,000 HE DPM, it's not gonna do anything. But here's the thing, even though your DPM is not that great, your heal will make sure that you survive in a long run. You can out heal against enemy DD so much that even though you might have a poor DPM, you can still fight back. And you already have a very good base HP for this. You have 24k HP, you have a gigantic super heal. Now, the two super heals that you can use very effectively. The third one is sort of questionable because you can only heal 50% of the penetration damage. So that is the problem, but still, your effective HP is just way higher. It can go up to 40,000, more than 40,000. And you also have the Kuznetsov, which increases your HP even further. And you have the smoke, you have defensive fire, you have the the engine boost, and you have Russian shell velocity. So if anything, try to farm you at range and has terrible shell velocity, you can actually farm him well. I would say farm him back effectively because you can speed juke maybe at 7 or 8 kilometers while landing shells consistently because these are Russian ballistics. They are very easy to land. Even at 15.3 kilometers, they are super easy to land. Okay, and the guns just do okay. Okay, they're not amazing, they're not good, but shell velocity is great. And the bread and butter of this ship is that you have amazing concealment and also really good torpedoes. So you can be a good torpedo boat with good gunboat performance with the heel intact. Okay, you can fight DDs with heel and you can still top them back, and you can be like Shimakaze. You can be like a zombie Shimakaze with Russian ballistics that can trade against enemy destroyers with the help of heel. And you can do really well against aircraft carriers because you still have heel. This is still very powerful thing. You still have smoke. You still can disengage. They're not removing smoke because you have a super heel. Okay? So you can torpedo and you can also fight back with amazing concealment. So you can decide whether you want to engage the DD or not. For example, there's the Daring. Daring spots at 6 kilometers. Neustrashimy can outspot him and can just stay out of this problem. You do not want to fight with Daring. You want to spot the Daring for some time so that he can run out. He run away from the caps if you are contesting. Okay? So that is the really good part. On the bad part, on the other hand, that you have a terrible turning circle. So you tend to eat, sadly, quite some tops. But again, you have a super heal, so it does help. But yeah, watch out for the turning circle and rudder shift time. It's a very long ass ship, so it also takes some damage. Okay, but it's a great ship. Honestly, very, very strong. Maybe some players might not really understand the reason that why I am rating it too much, but I think it is as good as Black in a very different way, especially because of this concealment edge. It's a big edge in my opinion, with great torpedoes. Now, another ship, and sadly, it's another German, one of the German ship that will be in this seat here. And I'm talking about Z44. I mean, the problem with the Z44 is that it is good in only one thing, and that is its reload time of tops. So as you can see, you have very good reload time. 72.3 seconds. You can even build it further. You can reduce it down to 65 seconds. And that's it. Z44 is good with these tops that are 13,700 damage worth. Okay? So they don't hit hard either. But they just reload quickly and you can send a lot of them. And that's it. Every minute you will be sending 10 tops. Okay? But on the other hand, unlike Jager, I mean, there might be some players and they're gonna say, oh bro, Jager also kind of does the same thing. And it does have even worse TPM and it does not have like all that shenanigans. Bro, the problem with the Z44 is that it has bad concealment. It does not have, I would say, great guns either. It's better than Jager for sure, but this concealment decides everything, okay? 5.4 versus 5.9 is significant. For example, there's a Jager that's spotting you. How are you supposed to spot him back? You can even outspot Shimakaze in Jager, okay? Jager at least gets the alarming bell. Z44 cannot even get that alarming bell. It will be outspotted by gunboat DDs. Gunboat DDs, Black can outspot him, Neustrashimy can outspot him, and he cannot fight back. It does not do anything else good. It's good in one thing, and it's just straight up flat average in everything else. And that's why, and it's not even fun to play. I just seriously don't see any reason why Z44 is in your radar. If, and I will say if, Z44 gets short smokes, Z44 gets hydro, even if it's only going to be 5.5 kilometer, and if it gets pretty much the same concealment, this might be an entirely different thing. Completely entirely different thing. Because it just becomes super duper interesting. This is not. But the Jager is. This is not, but the Jager is. Jager is interesting because you just throw those tiny little tops, but they are blazingly fast, undodgeable, and that kind of gives it a unique aspect. The tops are so average. Meanwhile, Jager, which obviously has zero gun power, it cannot even protect itself from carriers because it cannot even smoke up. Still, in my opinion, in the form of fun aspect, can do brilliantly well. I might rate it to be a B plus tier. It's a very good DD. Now, it's not good in winning games. Okay, this is an exceptional DD. It's not gonna win games. It's not gonna take down DDs. It can outspot DDs for sure. It can sometimes spam those torpedoes that are undodgeable to many ships. Even destroyers will have a very hard time because these have 90 freaking 5 knots of tops speed. Okay, so it's not gonna be having a game impact. Okay, but in terms of how much fun that it gives, how much unique the torpedoes are, and how quickly you spam, and how good you outspot ships, really makes it even over B tier, making it very good. If you want to pick Jager in ranked, you are retarded. Okay, you are retarded. You're sabotaging your team by not bringing a DD that can basically take down other DDs. And in a carrier game, it's gonna be even worse. So I might go to the please no. It's that how much bad in ranked battles. But in normal game modes, it's a very good ship. Okay, it's a fun ship, which you can see right there. It's a tier 3 hull. It's a tier 3 freaking hull at tier 9. Okay, but the torpedoes are such that also kind of have like tier 7, tier 6 torpedo damage, but you have 95 knots of tops. 95 knots of top. They're just gonna be having very easy time landing. I think maybe you might have 100% hit rate. You can land 12 out of 12 torpedoes onto the broadside Hanover, for example, because they're super easy to land. Like if you get to 5.8 kilometer, from the battleship, from the enemy battleship, you can just land so many tops. It is fun. Z44 is, it just does not give any unique aspect. Okay, Jager does that freaking toxic things that only Jager can pull off. No one can. Z44 can't. Okay, and that's why I might put, this is my bias. Okay, this is literally my bias. You can really say that it is terrible, and I agree this might be average. You might even put it to the D tier. But how about those torpedoes? You can only get those sort of torpedo fun in only this destroyer. And that's why I'm putting it to be the B plus tier. It's a very biased sort of rating that I have done with the Jager. But on the other hand, Friesland, aka Groningen, whatever you call it, this Dutch destroyer is amazing and will be pretty much the similar sort of experience in a different way, like the Neustrashimy and Black. The Groningen is absolutely insane. It's kind of like the Sherman that you put at tier 9, because Groningen has insane firepower. Uh, even like even Black questions his own firepower. The Friesland has so much more DPM than even Black. So you can see right there, Black has like what, 193,000 HE DPM. You have 279,000 HE DPM. That is very impressive, and your AP is also no joke. Okay, very Daka sort of ship. Okay, and you have American smokes. You have a hydro. Again, it's kind of like the tier 9 Sherman in many ways. 6.4 kilometer of detection. It can have 6.4 kilometer. You can go and build it for concealment, and yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Groningen, Sherman 6.4, 6.5, same thing. But look at the DPMs, 279,000. And what I did is that sometimes you do not want to smoke up, and you want to farm at around 12 kilometers and isolated battleships, and you want to speed juke a bit. And well, you can do that, and I'm using it a very unique build. Okay, it's not the best of the builds. It's kind of like the insanity. You just want to get so much firepower, but it's stupidly good. Okay, in terms that you want to farm. 10.5% fire chance, especially with this improved demolition expert. It's crazy. 10.5% chance. Every shell have 10.5% chance at tier 9, and once you are fighting tier 8 and tier 7s, their fire coefficient, okay, they will be less resistant to fires. Tier 10 has the highest resistance coefficient. Go and check out the complexity of the mechanics. Tier 7 and tier 8, they have less resistance. So this fire chance is more effective for lower tier ships. And this is 10.5% fire chance, which is really powerful. And for example, if you hate aircraft carriers, you want to get a ship, a tier 9 ship, especially a tier 9 destroyer that can fight. I mean, Neustrashimy does sort of a thing with the defensive fire, but Groningen is actually really good against carrier planes, because it does have a smoke, so you can disengage, and you do not want to have your planes above Groningen smoke, because with defensive fire and with very good anti-defense numbers, you can shoot down planes. Actually, you can shoot down tier 8 carriers. Will not like Groningen. Okay, you can spot Groningen, but it will be pain to spot Groningen because it's gonna shoot down a lot of planes. Okay, so ask yourself, you want to get that Sherman experience at tier 9? Well, honestly, it kind of gives you that, and that's why it is a different ship than Neustrashimy. It's a different ship than Black. And by the way, 5 kilometer hydro, same concept, almost the same concept. It does not have any torpedo whatsoever though, and it does not have sap shells, but pretty much the same concept that Sherman has, Groningen has at tier 9. So for that DPM numbers, it's excellent. It's an A tier destroyer. You will love it. It's a very good gunboat DD. Okay, now we are going to talk about tier 8 ships. We have, if I'm not wrong, this is Key Hull. It's a copy of Amagi with worse sigma. Instead of having 1.8 sigma, it has a worse sigma than Amagi, but it gets torpedoes 10 kilometer in return. And that's it, if I'm not wrong. And honestly, for this, I will show you that in the game as well. Key is seriously a C tier. Please, I mean, I would like to put it to D. Please no, but let's just say that it's not too bad. It's not that terrible, but it's just like you're just getting a torpedo set, but it makes it worse in terms of accuracy. Like, why? Okay, so I don't like Key. Okay, it's an average ship. It does work for a battleship, but it is simply not bringing anything new to the table because it's a very old battleship. Key does not have any gimmicks. It's a good old battleship. You know, the World of Warships that used to be like 7, 6, 8 years ago. Well, at those era, you get these sort of shenanigans. You don't make a premium ship significantly better because they want to sell. They want to just give one or two things different than a Tech Tree counterpart. Like, for example, if you take a look at the tops, oh sorry, these are airstrikes. Take a look at the tops. 10-kilometer tops, 3 torpedoes on each side. That's it. Maybe here and there might be some difference with maneuverability, maybe something else, and that's it. So you want to get the Amagi, premium Amagi with worse, I would say, accuracy, with torpedoes. I mean, it's not meta. Same problem with the Kurfurst, same problem with the Pommern, same problem with this battleship. I just not putting it into the D tiers because it's not horrendously garbage. It is still okay. Average ship. Okay, so the next ship is probably the most questionable thing that exists in this game. Seriously. At first, you might think the tier 8 battleship Anhalt looks like Mecklenburg because it has 15 freaking guns, which you can see right there. 15 guns. Ooh, wow, that looks fantastic. Well, let me just put the slap on my face by saying that, okay? Because it's nothing like that. It is the Timo version of Mecklenburg. It's literally someone just purchased it from a store that just cannot make a good copy of Mecklenburg whatsoever. It's terrible. This ship can now super easily I will call it the worst coal ship at this tier. Worst coal ship ever. And if you want to have a proof, let's take a look at the shiptool.st. Look at the Mecklenburg, okay? 305mm guns. Look at the penetration, okay? Let me just show you the AP shells. Look at the penetration. Still 300mm penetration over 18 kilometers. Azuma has even better, believe it or not, 339mm penetration. Look at the Anhalt. 248mm penetration. My god, you can't even sometimes Citadel heavy cruisers like Stalingrad at long ranges if they slightly even angle. You cannot do that. These are 350mm guns. And you know what's the even worse part? Look at the Sigma. It's 1.7. Look at this dispersion. It's battleship dispersion. It's not battle cruiser dispersion either. So you see my point? It has terrible AP penetration even though it looks like 15 guns. It's kind of like Wargaming baited players buying this. And there might be newer players that haven't even watched my cold tier list. Maybe didn't even watch Flamu, okay? Because I watched the video of Flamu, okay, a streamer, and he said like it's dog shit, and it is dog shit. It's terrible, okay. I do not want to even talk about the armor and all that stuff because the guns are so terrible. Dispersion is so bad. It does not even matter. The reload time is still 30 seconds. This is the design that is very bad. And it's a noob-bait design. Simple as that. Okay, so the next ship is going to be the brother of Kutuzov. Kutuzov is a notoriously, I would say, known for being a very long-range, powerful HE spammer. It's a brother of Kutuzov. Kind of the same hull, pretty much the same design with 12 guns, but instead it has smokes that are short bursts, which I would say it's better to have short smokes compared to the Kutuzov normal smokes. But it's only AP. It does have special AP characteristics that does penetrate well even at long ranges, and that's it. Nothing special. I think it does not used to have heals. Maybe it used to have heals even before the cruiser buff, but it have heals. Okay, it has 3 heals like all the tier 8 cruisers. So where do I rate it? Well, honestly, I mean, maybe my bias, but it's a good ship. I can't say it's average because your smokes can work, which you can see right there. You have short smokes, which can work well for a tier 8 cruiser. Okay, you don't have a radar, but still, it's reasonable to have these much smokes. You have a heal. You have, if I'm not wrong, you have, well, 25mm plating, you're gonna be getting overmatched. You do have a big citadel, but UAP can work well. Okay, you have a decent reload time, and you have torpedoes which are very self-defense tops. I mean, I'm not honestly, it's my bias. I'm not genuinely interested in this ship, in playing this ship, even in ranked, even in randoms. Okay, even though it's a decent ship in terms of the overall qualities. Okay, 18.1 kilometer of range, which is very decent. The shell velocity is also decent. Okay, again, the things that you want to see on a cruiser, it checks all the boxes to farm battleships, cruisers, once you smoke up. But still, it's not interested. I would say it's not interesting to me whatsoever. Especially with the new ships like the Grau, that has insane anti-air, having really powerful F key with the reload booster that kind of kicks in. So many gimmicks that we have with the F keys going on. Some tanky ships like the Agir. There are so many gimmicks. Podharsky has the smoke gimmick, which kind of has the same thing like the Kutuzov, but AP only. I would have loved to see HE. Maybe if it does get the HE, then why would someone play Kutuzov then, right? I don't know. I just feel it to be good. Maybe average. Nothing special, but it's still better than, I would say, these ships at C tier. Still better than those C ships because of good survivability. Still somewhat okay firepower. Now, another ship that actually have gotten buffed, and I know that the Nottingham does not used to get heals. Now, it has the same thing and qualities like the Dimity Podharsky, but instead it has HE shells. And the reload time is significantly worse. So, because of the buff that it gets heals, like the Podharsky, I'm sure that Podharsky might not also have the have the heals. But now he does have the heals, which again makes it from average to good. If it does not have heals in the first place, I could not have put it into the B tier at all. And Nottingham also does the same thing. It now has the heals and it also has the short burst smokes. Same thing like Podharsky in a very different way. Because you have different guns. HE shells, okay, that you can use with worse reload time. So same thing. Survivability is decent because you smoke up. Gun performance is okay, as with this cruiser. So, I mean, I can't put it to the average. If they don't have the smokes and if they don't have the heals, I would have put them here, 100%. But I'm not gonna do that. They are okay for what they do. Maybe the B- tier will be the best for these two ships because I'm personally not interested in them. They're not very special. They're not gonna be winning so much games. They just farm damage here and there, and that's it. Alright, so the next ship is going to be Scharnhorst 43. And believe it or not, I actually like this German ship. And honestly, it kind of relates to this meta. Because now you are fast, and your guns are decent. You're good. I'm not going to say it's stupidly good. It's just, I would say B+ tier. I like Scharnhorst 43, okay? I love that it has a speed boost and it has very good reloading on the tops and you can brawl incredibly well, especially if you play in brawling game modes. Scharnhorst 43 is actually very, very nice. So as you can see, we have the Scharnhorst 43, pretty much the same thing as you find on the normal Scharnhorst, which is right there. You are getting this on Scharnhorst 43. There are a couple of things which I really like about the Scharnhorst 43. First of all, your fire chance is significantly improved. This is something that a lot of players don't even realize when looking at the stats compared to the Scharnhorst. Look at the fire chance. You have 150mm secondary guns, 13% fire chance, 13% fire chance, and 9% fire chance. If we take a look at the Scharnhorst, for some reason it has 8% fire chance, 8% fire chance, and 5% fire chance. So the fire damage, fires per minute, I would say, has just significantly buffed. Okay, and the armor is great. The speed is the best thing that happened to the Scharnhorst 43, and it's kind of the same thing that you're finding on Bismarck 41. I wish that it does get the manual secondaries. In fact, at that, I really hope that they give manual secondaries to the Scharnhorst 43, but I really doubt that, because now it got released for coal. They cannot sell it like the Bismarck 41. So, you know, it kind of sucks not having manual secondaries. I wish it does. But even then, it's a great package. Okay, you have torpedoes. As if you take a look at the tops, very fast reload time, 45 seconds. So they reload very, very quickly. Okay, and yeah, you have also have the fighter plane to basically sort of counter CVs if they're fighting you tier 6 and tier 8s. So yeah, I like this. I like the ship. Accuracy is good. It has 2.0 Sigma, and this still has better penetration compared to the Anhalt at tier 8, which is absolutely mind-boggling how terrible the penetration AP performance of Anhalt really is. And they are way accurate than even Anhalt. Anhalt has 1.7 Sigma, it has 2.0 Sigma, which is still very good. Okay, so the next battleship is going to be Duke of York. And honestly, if not for its bad armor, I would have rated Duke of York to be also B plus tier. It also looks to be good in terms of gun performance. The AP penetration is decent. HE shells are really good. 1.8 Sigma, normal accuracy, but still good for 10 guns. A lot of HP, 60,000 HP. You have heals, and you also have a hydro, which also makes it very interesting. If not for the armor, because armor is the big problem, and that limits the Duke of York B tier. It's a good ship, definitely better than these ones that you are seeing below, and especially compared to this one. So as you can see, you have decent HP, your healing potential is nice, you have 5 heals, pretty much standard for a battleship, nothing extravagant. And well, if you take a look at the concealment, which is also pretty good at 12.7, and well, the big noticeable part of the Duke of York is going to be the hydro. You have 4 km of hydro. This helps to protect at lower tiers. Okay, if there are DDs that are trying to top you, well, you have the protection against them. Okay, and well, the biggest problem that I have playing Duke of York, and that limits this ship to only good for its guns and a hydro as a gimmick, that your armor is very weak, 26mm all over the place, which means anything that basically punches with the help of 380mm guns can simply overmatch you, and so you don't have the super heals either to compensate for this problem. And your range is, well, okay, 18.2 kilometer. Would be better to have 20 kilometers, but I think it's reasonable. So I mean, for me, it's just a decent ship, nothing special, but it's nothing too great either. Kind of the same thing that you are expecting from cruisers. You can kind of expect the same thing with the guns and hydro from this battleship. Okay, so the next ship is actually very interesting, and I'm kind of locked in between A tier and B plus tier for this ship, because this ship is really good, and especially with the buff, which I can't believe that it gets heals. Okay, it's a light cruiser that has a lot of DPM, it has destroyer caliber, but you throw very good amount of shells per minute. And honestly, if you ask me, even with the buff, I think it's a very good ship. It's a B plus tier, especially if you take a look at the stats. Now here's a Flint, and yeah, it does have American smokes. American smokes gonna last long. You have a hydro, which means that you can protect yourself against torpedoes if you are in smoke, and you have now the heals, which is amazing. And well, you have the guns that are destroy caliber, but you reload very quickly. You have a lot of HEDPM, very good reload time. I would say worse than Atlanta, but still reasonable. With the HP that is 30,000 and having heals, that's great. That's a very nice buff. And you also have torpedoes that you can launch, and they have 9.2 kilometer range, so they are very reasonable as well. And concealment is also very reasonable. Speed is also decent. So this is a great package. If you want to get a smoke destroyer, okay, to farm damage at, I would say, lower tiers, the biggest problem of the Flint, I must say, when you are fighting against tier 9 ships, because the range is really bad. Like, I think this is the biggest problem with the Flint. Okay, it is too good with its DPM and all that stuff. Everything is great, but the range is the biggest downside. Like, it's terrible For tier 7, it is definitely very bad. If you ask me, if it gets to around 14 kilometers, that would be an entirely different thing. Then Flint becomes reasonable even at tier 9s. But at tier 9, it's going to be super high risk. Okay? But you will be farming ships if anyone spots for you. If there's a DD that spots for you, Flint can be really good for a tier 7 cruiser. The moment you are top tier, maybe you're fighting tier 5 ships, Flint becomes excellent. Flint becomes really, really strong because you have a smoke and you can farm with this DPM. But with this buff, you will have some protection against tier 9 ships. I mean, you can still gonna get smashed thanks to you having very, very not good armor at all. Like this is paper armor. This is 13mm plating. My god, this whole thing is just gonna get fully sucked with every shell that anyone throws. Even cruisers can overmatch. 203mm guns, if I'm not wrong, they can even overmatch with AP. So yeah, it sucks. But with the heals, it will no longer suck, at least in the survivability department, especially that you have smokes. So for me personally, I will definitely gonna rate them better than these cruisers, for sure. Alright, so the next ship, pretty much the same thing, okay? We're talking about tier 7 Lazo, and well, it's a good HE spammer. It's a good HE spammer. At tier 7, you have 12 guns, 9 seconds of reload time, and you do have HE shells. At tier 7, really good range, and for some reason, it has a special spotter plane, which increases the range even further. It has a rapid takeoff spotter, which is gonna last for 60 seconds, and you will have 20 kilometer range, so you can farm at stupidly long range, like 20 kilometers, and well, the shell velocity will be terrible then, okay? But still, sometimes people can try to make it work, and you now have the heals, which again is a buff, great buff, 40,000 HP, which is great, but you don't have smoke whatsoever, and because of the lack of smoke, even though you have a great DPM, not bad whatsoever, it's actually pretty good, I will still rate Lazo to be B tier. Okay, smokeless, long range, light cruiser, very squishy in terms of armor, but now you have the heals, so it's pretty good even without smokes. So it's a good ship. It's definitely better than these 5 ships below, so I'm gonna rate it that way. Let me just put it, yeah, these 3 cruisers are kind of the same in terms of performance, in my opinion. Okay, now I will try to cover several ships at once, because these all ships which I'm about to explain, they kind of are very average, okay? This one is Stored 43 or the Bliskaviga. This might be Bliskaviga, okay? This one is Gallant, which is tier 6. 2 are tier 7 destroyers, okay? The Bliskaviga and the Stored 43, that does have a super heal, but it's a very small duration consumable. So it's not exactly a super heal, but it does heal for its tier to be somewhat decent. But it's again not so special. Okay, then there's a Bliskaviga, then there is Gallant, and then there is Anshan. Okay, so the Gallant, Anshan, Bliskaviga, and Stored 43. These 3 ships are C tier. I mean, they're not as bad as an Anhalt, okay? But I mean, they're not good either. They're just not great. I don't even want to explain these ships. They're very average. Don't buy them, because I don't even have experience playing them. Seriously, I don't even have experience, because I never thought them to be great. I played them at least maybe 2-3 times, not more than that. And their gun performance, their torpedoes, they're all very average. So all these 4 ships, I will say they're as average as maybe the Z44. Okay, but however, there is one destroyer which I really like. Okay, and I will highly recommend getting this ship. Okay, and that is Agil or Agile. Okay, this is a French destroyer which I personally will rate it to be very strong. It's a B plus tier. It's a good ship, definitely a very good ship. So if you take a look at the Agile, okay, I love the fact that with the introduction of this flag, you can have 20,000 HP at tier 6. 20,000 HP at tier 6. Like for example, look at the Ensign, okay, which I'm rating it average. It has 16,800. Look at the Gallant, okay. Let me take a look at the Gallant real quick. Where's the Gallant? Now look at the Gallant, okay, 14,000 HP, okay. Yes, I can put it the flag and it's definitely gonna increase the HP, but still, okay. Look at the DPM, HEDPM. Look at the HEDPM of this. Look at the HEDPM of Ensign. The gun's performance is under 100k, okay. I can build, however, for the guns here and there, okay, but still they are not as good as Agil for tier 6. Look at the HEDPM of Agil, 131,000 HEDPM, and I haven't even kicked in the Fearless Brawler, which, and especially this improved Adrenaline Rush, which can 100% increase its HEDPM to 150k. So these guns are no joke. They have a decent shell velocity with that great HP and with almost 13 kilometer of range. So you don't need to have a range mod. This range is plenty for tier 6, and you can farm open water. You have a 20% engine boost, you still have the smokes, and you have a very hard hitting tops for its tier. 18,400 torpedo damage. That is clear tops at tier 6, believe it or not. Well, their speed is not that great. It's only 57 knots, but they are very stealthy at 1.2 kilometer. And well, the only downside the Agil has, that it's 6.8 kilometer in its concealment. But remember that we are playing lower tiers. Nobody really cares about the concealment at this point. They will get spotted. The DDs that are dumb enough, they still push the Agil. They will outspot you, but you will eventually spot them, and you can kill them. And you have enough HP for this, and you have enough gun power for this. And that's why it's a very, very good ship. So for tier 6 destroyer, it's actually surprisingly very, very good. Not excellent, but it's a very good ship. Definitely worth it to pick at lower tiers. Okay, another battleship that I used to play many years ago. I love this battleship. Honestly, I used to play that at lower tiers. It's an October Revolution. It's a Russian battleship, which does have really interesting perks. And honestly, if you really ask me, I like this ship. I think it's going to be at B+ tier. It's a very good ship. So as you can see, this is October Revolution. And the reason why I love this is this armor plating. Little to no superstructure. Everywhere you have a lot of plating. You have 38mm deck at tier 5. You have very small area that's going to get overmatched. You stay angled and you will take no damage. Yeah, you will get citadeled. Okay, it does have exposed citadel. Don't broadside. But if you don't, this is some of the, I would say it's kind of like the tier 9 in terms of tankiness. It's stupidly tanky for its tier. Like even tier 10s are not having that tankiness. You can really compare it with tier 8 Lenin. But I would say it's even better. Look at the armor. Like, where are you gonna overmatch him? Overmatching from this area? Really? And your guns, well, very good. Dispersion is decent. You have 12 guns. And you smash cruisers. You smash battleships. 305mm guns, they overmatch equivalent tier battleships. At tier 5, you will overmatch with 305mm guns. So they are pretty good. And well, that's the reason why I really like this. And the fact that this was the first concept that come up with the fast TCPs. But here's the thing that is the most funniest, the most absurd thing about the October Revolution. You have a consumable action time of 16.5 seconds, which you, by the way, can increase it with the Damage Control Party Mod 1, which can get it to 23 seconds. And look at the cooldown time. 20 seconds of cooldown time. It's not freaking 40 seconds like you find on Kremlin. It's even better. You can tank fire for days and don't die. And funny enough, your armor is so good enough that you will not take any penetration damage. It's a very, honestly, yeah, I might put it excellent. Because it's so goddamn good. It's very good ship, man. And yeah, for the 12 guns, it has 1.9 sigma. So the accuracy is actually pretty decent. It's not 1.5. It's not 1.4, it's not 1.6, it's 1.9. Right? That's great. The speed is the only problem, that is 24.2 knots. But if you do use this thing, which is Concealment Expert, that's gonna help a lot. I mean, you try it out. This is a very good battleship. For tier 5, I used to play it a lot because it's so goddamn good. The only concern that I do have is going to be the torpedo protection. Terrible torpedo protection for a battleship. It's only 10%. HP is okay. But yeah, this is the big problem. If there are kamikazes, watch out for them. Okay, finally, the last of the tier 5 ships I will explain in just one go because they are nothing too special. There is an exception, however, and if you take a look at this one, this is Rio de Janeiro at tier 5. Well, it's a strong HE spammer, okay? It throws shells accurately and it has a very good fire chance. So it's an HE spammer, and honestly for that, if there are no CVs, okay, because it has zero anti-defense, no anti-defense whatsoever. So against CVs, it's D tier. But if there are no CVs that's causing issues, it's actually B tier. It's a good ship. Now in the case of Marblehead and another ship that is Kirov, they're very bad, okay? Kirov and Marblehead, they don't have heals as well, because from tier 6 to tier 8, we are getting heals. So these ships are really, really bad, okay? I haven't played them more than 2-3 battles, but I can tell you that these are not good whatsoever. And the last one, this is a tier 5 American destroyer Hill, and well, it has a decent HE DPM for its tier, and it does have smokes and tops, and you can buy it. I can tell you, you can buy it kind of like the Rio de Janeiro in some ways, okay? Rio de Janeiro is a good HE spammer. Hill is also good in basically farming damage. So you can see you can smoke up, basically farm battleships with 118,000 HE DPM, which is pretty decent, honestly. HP pool definitely lacks, for sure. I mean, compared to the Agile or Agile, whatever you call it, sorry for mispronunciation, it's definitely worse. But for tier 5, it's not bad, okay? It's definitely not average either. The concealment leaves a lot to be desired, like sort of better. I would love to see it getting around 5.9, 5.8, but 6.4, usable. And speed is great, okay? You have 40 knots of speed. You can actually, if you want to, bum rush battleship with this ship. But I think that's something that you can also do with the Agil. So yeah, torpedoes are really, average. 5.5 kilometer. These are very only useful if any battleship pushes you. And honestly, at lower tiers, you will find a lot of battleships that push into your smoke. So they are still going to be very useful with the guns. So yeah, it's a good ship. Nothing very special, not very good, just better than average. So there you go, guys. I covered freaking all coal ships in 2026 with the changes to the meta, with everything that I need, with everything that I know. Okay, and honestly, these are my thoughts, and sort of I have the idea for these ships. Okay, now you can let me know in the comments. You can see the tier list. Okay. And you can watch out the chapters, okay? Now you might really say, okay, which ship is this? Okay? You simply have to go and check out the chapters, okay? And check out which ship does it belong to, right? Because I just don't find any good pictures where I can just see written the ship name. So apologies for this. If that is your problem, you can go and check out the chapters for this. Which ship is exactly that? You can get some idea. This is Alvaro D Bazan, this is Tromp, this is Malta. It can be a bit rough. So chapters, you should check them. And honestly, it is broken because of the game logic. It's not broken. I'm talking about the submarine. If you are thinking of why it's like brokenly overpowered, why it's the only ship that is broken, is simply because of its game logic that is just like designed terribly. Okay? Its design is so broken. The ship game impact might not be as broken, but it is definitely very, very toxic ship to play, especially like the Tromp. It also does the same thing. Very toxic ship to play against. Sherman can also be very devastating. Napoli can be the most tankiest. Marceau can be the most fastest while also doing a lot of damage faster Kearsarge can be insane in doing a lot of damage with the rocket, so it's very powerful with 12 guns. Black smoke radar combo is the most lethal, and Neustrashimy is not a dying beast with puny little DPM, but it's still very good. And Friesland, aka for Groningen, it's kind of the same thing as you find on Sherman. It's kind of like the Dutch copy of Sherman in a very different way. And yeah, that's what the A tier looks like. Really, really good. Defense is really good, but it's very expensive. Marco Polo SAP hits hard. October Revolution at tier 5 is really good for 12 guns. And having 20 seconds of DCP, just like I said in my video, is something that you get on this. Agir has 20,000 HP for tier 6. Flint has now gotten heals. Scharnhorst 43 has really fast speed boost and really good secondaries with improved fire chance compared to the normal Scharnhorst. And well, these are the ships like the Tulsa, the Salem, the Moskva. They are all really, really good. Immelmann HSK bombs are no joke, and they can be pretty devastating. So these are the ships that I will rate first, and I will recommend getting them first. A tier first, then you take a look at the B tier, B plus tier, and then you take a look at the B tier, because there are somewhat, interesting B tier ships like the Brisbane can be interesting for some players with a stealth radar. I would say Yoshino can be interesting for a long range Aegis spammer. So you have to find out your niche. But these ones, the C tier and please know, the D tier, just don't touch those tiers. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments. Take care. I know it's a big video, big ass video, but I covered everything. Every single player can understand its capabilities with my explanation. So hopefully it is worth it. Peace out.